Welcome to the Mind of the Meanie, your weekly peek into the world according to former WWE and ECW wrestler, the Blue Meanie. We'll cover wrestling, music, movies, sports, and lots of useless knowledge, all contained in the Mind of the Meanie. I'm Josh Shernoff, and he is the Blue Meanie. Meanie, how is it going today, man?
Is this thing on?
Oh, it's on, and it sounds good. It sounds real good.
Yeah, man. Thank God. Dude, I've been happy with the podcast so far, but I hated the way I sounded, and then I was like, man, what the hell can I do? Because I've been looking for different equipment and shit, you know. Mm-hmm. I was like, because I'll go on YouTube and look up podcast equipment or whatever, and you always sound like $1 million. I'm like, man, I sound like I'm calling into my own goddamn show.
That's very kind, but I always listen to myself and I'm like, God, this is horrible. And then I realize, I'm like, what's wrong with my equipment? It turns out it was just my voice. So, but no, it did. That was something. What you just said, it sounded like you were calling into your own show. That was right. That was just really weird, you know, like that didn't feel right, because from where I'm sitting, you know, you and I, we have a video thing going up here. Yeah. And we're here. We're
fully dressed in full disclosure to the people listening at home.
I mean, at least from the waist up.
Thank God.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's about time that you audibly join me here in the crystal clear sound waves of, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about.
Yeah, well, it was driving me nuts too, because like I'm hardwired. I'm like, I have a really good hey sailor, I have a really good fucking headset here, and with a built-in mic, I'm like, oh man, this should be great, right? But you know, I'm sitting around because it's the fucking apocalypse.
Yeah, it is.
And it dawned on me, you know, years ago I was going to do a podcast. I just got sidelined, whatever. And then I was like, man, shit, I bought a whole bunch of podcasting equipment that's just sitting there. So I got this Zoom recorder and a couple mics and a fancy little foam thing to put over the mic. It's like, let me see if I could just plug this into my computer. And lo and behold, I USB'd it in and did a couple. Me and you did that one test. Mm-hmm. And here we are, and we played it back. I was like, "Oh my God, it's like night and day."
That's the thing. Like, I didn't even realize how. Not that it was bad, but I didn't realize how much better it would end up being.
Yeah,
until we
sounds like we're in the same room.
Yeah.
For your benefit, I'm not, because Well,
we covered that last week.
Yeah, stopping concerts and stuff.
Some of what you can bring to the show. Yeah. So the funny thing about it is you had this equipment all along.
It was just sitting in a part of my house that I totally forgot about. Yeah. And I was going to do a podcast, and then like I broke my hand, and then my mom got sick, and I was like, that's the last thing I need to be fucking put my energies towards. Sure. And then flash forward, me and we started doing this gimmick. Mm-hmm. And I was like, man, I fucking hate the way I sound. I mean, I hate my voice anyway.
We all hate our voices. I think.
Yeah. Oh, I just want to punch myself in the fucking face. But I was like, oh, you sound so stupid. But yeah, we did that test, and I just got like a jolt of energy. I was like, man, I can't wait to do the next fucking show. And I could sit here with a mic and pretend like I'm important and. So I feel like I'm doing something real.
We have to get the little mic flags, like the cubes that go on them, because that's like one of my favorite things. I started.
You're the man.
I get those little cubes made, and it just instantly makes me feel important.
What the fuck are you waiting for, dude?
I don't know. I was waiting for episode 7. Once we hit lucky number 7, then I knew it was time to invest in these cubes. You know what I'm waiting for? You know what I'm waiting for? We need a video version of our show. And you have to have those cubes when the time comes for that. And I think that's like a great time for us to tell everybody how they can get a video version of the show.
That would be lovely.
Yes. So Meanie and I have been talking, and first of all, thank you everyone who subscribed to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/a ton of letters and numbers. because even though we have more than 100, YouTube has not figured that out yet, and we can't get our URL yet. So we're working on that. Hopefully by the time you're hearing this,
it's youtube.com/Wi-Fi password.
Yeah.
It's like a fucking Wi-Fi password.
Yeah, so we're working on that. But as soon as we launched the YouTube channel, there's just been like a huge number of people came on and started subscribing. We really appreciate that. But we've decided that if we can reach 500 subscribers, we will do a live, well, not live. Well, it'll be live for us, but pre-recorded because, technology is not something that we're great at. So we will do a video version of the podcast strictly for the YouTube channel. There won't be an audio version of it on it'll be an additional episode.
Fuck your ears.
Yeah.
Let's go to the YouTube.
Fuck your ears and gently caress your eyes.
Yeah, there you go.
We're going to do a video there. And the fun thing about that is you never know what can happen with video. There have been so many times where Meanie and I are just cracking up about something because we're seeing each other doing something. You'll get to see Meanie's drum hanging on his wall that we talked about before, my various things behind me. Maybe I'll even put a suit and tie on so that I look the way that fans are used to seeing me. And we'll have guests. That's something we will. I mean, I don't know who, but we will have guests.
Or we can at least call them co-hosts.
Co-hosts, yes.
Because I'm really hung up on not doing like guest because there's so many guys out there like, oh man, can you be on my podcast? I got nothing going on today. Like their whole show is like, and I'm not knocking it. I mean, like their show's driven on having guests.
Well, I meant guests for this special.
Oh yeah.
Video one. Like there would be like, maybe we try and get a couple that would pop in here and there. But no, if we ever have anybody on this show, we're not going to go to, and now our interview with so-and-so. No, we're going to welcome them in to just hang with us for 2, 3, 4, 5 hours and have a good time.
Throw it against the wall, see where it sticks.
Yeah, but make sure that you go on our social media. We put out a Mind of the Meanie commercial, a new commercial, and that is on YouTube. So if you click that commercial, that will take you directly to our YouTube channel. So even though we don't yet have the URL, it'll take you directly to the YouTube channel, and then you can subscribe and tell your friends and get them to subscribe. And if you subscribe and we hit 500. We're going to have a video. Maybe Meanie will even blew up part of his hair. Hey,
special occasions. Called
wash out this white thing that you have covering up the blue and
go
back to natural.
My Clark Kent makeup as I disguise myself amongst the, as Bob Backlund would say, the plebeians.
Yeah.
I would go out amongst the plebeians. Like Bob Backlund says, and I'll blow it up for the special occasion and stuff like that.
If I have to put on a tie,
maybe I'll wear a fucking half shirt. Who knows?
Oh,
that should get us less subscribers.
Yeah.
I don't know why our numbers are going down.
Ever since Meanie started wearing less clothing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think if your career is any indication. I think the less clothing you're wearing, the more successful you're going to be.
Yeah.
But Daisy Dukes, man. Got to wear the Daisy Dukes. So what's up, man? What's happening? What's going on in the mind of the Meanie today?
Dude, hold on. Let me get my coffee cup here. Let me get my Jack Skellington mug.
Take your sip.
I got to take my sip, and we'll pause for me enjoying my coffee. So 1 second here. Here we go. That's good coffee.
There it is.
There we go. You got to enjoy your drink.
You have to.
Yeah. Now that the opening shenanigans are out of the way. Hey, I got to give a quick shout out. I've been meaning to do this, and I feel like such a heel for not doing it. Every week episode. Oh, hold on. You're enjoying your drink? Go ahead.
Yeah,
See?
There we are.
See? That's good coffee. Yep. Dude, I feel like a heel every episode of Mind of the Meanie we open up with the BWO theme, which was written by my boy Joey Campbell of the Swamp Candles. And the rest of the guys in Swamp Candles are awesome too. But like me and Joey have like this, we're like brothers. We can not see each other for years and then walk into a room and leave off where we left off. So, we pick up where we left off. But every week we open up with the BWO theme. I gotta give Joey a shout out. Joey's got a really cool web series called Guitar Garage. If you go to his website, guitargaragetv.com, or follow him at Guitar Garage TV on Twitter. He's got a really cool, if you're a musician especially and play guitar and all this stuff, he's got like it's like a Monsters Garage but for guitars and stuff like that, and they go to different shops and gimmick different guitars and stuff like that. It's in the early stages right now, but go check it out. Show Joey some love. Tell him Meanie sent you. Especially if you love music, you love ECW, you love the BWO theme. Send some love to Joey Campbell at guitargaragetv.com and on Twitter at guitargaragetv, because I love that dude, man. I met Joey years ago. I was originally going to see a band called Black Eyed Susan here in Philadelphia, which was Dizzy Dean Davidson from Brittany Fox, and he had just gotten Jeff Cease, who just left the Black Crowes, into the band. And I'm a big fan of Black Crowes anyway, but I was part of the Black Crowes fan club called Crow Mafia. And Jeff Cease left the band, and before social media, people actually took the pen and paper and wrote letters and stuff like that. So being the Mark boy I am, I just like, hey, dear Jeff, good luck in your future endeavors.
Oh, you future endeavored him.
Yeah, yeah. Who knew that? It's ahead of my time by 10 years. But I just wrote him a little letter. Hey man, big fan. I like the way you play slide guitar on She Talks to Angels on Saturday Night Live, man. Totally Chris Farley'd it. And so I write the letter, send it off. Fucking time goes by. I get a letter in the mail, and it's from Jeff Cease. I'm like, holy shit. He wrote back. Hey, Brian, Jeff Cease here, blah, blah, blah. I'm in a new band, Black Eyed Susan. He's living in Jersey, which is like weird, because like I was in Atlantic City at the time. That's like a half hour, 40 minutes away. Right back, and they have there used to be a club up in Bensalem called the Cell Block, and a lot of bands would play there, and there was like half was under 21, and then the bar side was 21, so I would go there and be on the underage side or whatever. So he's like, come see the band. So I went to see Black Eyed Susan, but the Swamp Candles were the opener. And I went to see one band, I fell in love with this other band. So I became like their male groupie, and would just keep making the trip from Atlantic City to Philly. I would go see Black Eyed Susan, but I would also drive back to see the Swamp Candles. I became friends with them, and in high school I took graphic arts, and like they came out with their first recorded song is a song called Rain. I was like, oh man, that's so cool. And I was such a fanboy. Like I went and made, like, back in the day, bands would release cassette singles, before like MP3s and all that stuff. Like if you wanted to buy just a single, they would sell a cassette single, like a 45 back in the day.
Well, they always had like a B-side too.
Right.
Yeah.
And, so the Swamp Candles made this little cassette single that they were going to sell to shows or whatever. I was like, dude, I'll make a little slip cover for them. So I made this little, when I went for graphic arts, I could draw it up on the computer, take it to the dark room, make it negative. I could take it over, burn it to a plate, put it on the printer press, print them out. So I print out about like 1,000 of these things. And I had a friend in high school, Jolene. We were like thick as thieves. We're always hanging out. We spent like a couple hours just putting them together and putting the cassettes in there and taking to the band and stuff like that. And they really appreciated that. So like, it's just like from that point on, like we became like really cool friends and stuff like that. And Joey's like family, almost to the point where his mom married my uncle, and I didn't even realize that my uncle was dating his mom until like the wedding, and we're like, what are you doing here? What are you doing?
So then you guys became cousins.
In a way, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
so
his mom's your aunt, right?
Yeah. It's just goofy how like, things work out and stuff like that. So we went from being best friends, and then, hey, you want to go to Uncle Ronnie's wedding? Sure. I show up to Uncle Ronnie's wedding. There's Joey. I was like, Joey, what are you doing here? You know my Uncle Ronnie? Well, my mom's the bride. What? Because we would talk, but it's not like today where you could just text every 2 seconds.
Right.
We saw each other when we saw each other. Hey,
and you probably weren't like, when you're talking to a friend, just like, hey, man, just wanted to update you on my uncle's love life. Like it wasn't going to come up in conversation, I feel like. But
yeah. You should see who Uncle Ronnie's dating.
So when it came time for them to do the BWO music, I'm assuming that this was your doing, right? To get them to record it, or how did that come about?
The BWO theme was like a happy accident. I went away to live at Al's school. Mm-hmm. This is going to be a theme of every episode. So I was living at Al Snow School, and people would write letters. I would write to Joe. He would write back. So I was like, "Hey, Joe, I moved." I sent him like before I moved out. I was like, "Hey, I'm moving here. If you want to keep in touch." And he sent me like a cassette. Like I was living in Ohio. He was like, "Hey, check out these new tunes." And there was a tape. It was just them in their practice studio, and they hit record on a boom box and just jam and see what comes up. So in case somebody plays a little piece of magic, they can rewind and go, "Oh, what was that?"
Sure. Yeah.
So I'm listening to it. Put it in my car, put it in my radio. I'm just listening to this thing. And then this one song comes on, and I was like, man, that's good wrestling music. Just like anything, like ECW spoiled me to the fact to where if I hear a song on the radio, I'll go, man, that'd been perfect for ECW.
Yeah.
Or, me and Mrs. Meanie will drive and we'll play the song of Where's the Gong? Because in the BWO theme,
right.
There's a little gong, and I always wait for that before I go through the curtain. That's my little tradition with the BWO theme.
Yeah, we talked about that before.
And so we'll be driving, like, okay, which part of the song would you come out through the curtain? So I heard the BWO theme on this demo, and it wasn't even like they went into a series. But it came out so perfect. It sounded so gritty. It sounded like, they weren't a grunge band. They were a rock and roll band. That, to me, the Swamp Candles were like Aerosmith meets the Cult. Mm-hmm. And which, we talked about on the last episode. I love the Cult. And I heard that, and I was like, man, that's perfect wrestling music. And with the BWO theme, there was like this extended, like little bluesy intro. Mm-hmm. And then it would pause, and then it would go into that. So, like, before even the BWO, I used it once when I was on the Al Snow School just to see how it felt, and I fast forwarded to I took out the extended intro and just back when you had to hand the sound guy a cassette, and just and hopefully he put it on the right side, which is
right.
Which is happened to many a folks I know. There's
the other side has Dancing Queen, and which, fun fact, I actually was ribbed down in OVW. Came out one time to Dancing Queen.
That's awesome.
They played that, and I thought to myself when I was coming out, I was like, the joke's on you guys, because for whatever reason, I actually really dig that song.
Sometimes it works. Sometimes the rib works.
Yeah. Definitely wasn't something I was going to continue, but I was like coming out, I was like, all right, hey, it's got a good mood. Everyone in the crowd was getting like excited about the song. I think they were confused when I came out, but But, yeah.
Dude, there's a couple guys I used to wrestle with back in the day. Jimmy Cicero.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me.
Wise guy, Jimmy Cicero. Right?
Yes. Yeah. And he was tagging with a guy, Cue Ball Carmichael. And they were doing the Scottish gimmick. And they would cut, they got the tights and all this stuff, and with the flag colors and all this stuff. And they were coming out to this bagpipe music. So they got the tape, Scottish, whatever music.
Yeah.
So they give it to the sound guy, and they have it cued, which you had to do back in the day. Well, the sound guy put it in on the wrong side, and they come through the curtain, and it's like birds chirping. It's like cheep 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 cheep. Like it was like the intro to another thing, but it's like birds chirping. So they're coming to the ring. Ah, yeah, big burly tough guys, and it's just birds chirping. It was like the ultimate, botchamania / Spinal Tap moment.
The back in the 90s, I remember, because if it was when I first started wrestling, or even when I was just wrestling in my basement with my friends, we had entrance musics, and it became like this thing where, if you, like you're saying, you hear on the radio like, oh, that would be a good theme music. We had at my house, we had a karaoke machine. And so the beauty of the karaoke machine was any song that you could get on the karaoke machine, you were basically getting the instrumental version of it. Right. And oh man, there's so many, like me and all of my friends, off the top of my head, I can't really think of an example, but like any song that we would think of, we'd be like, okay, do we have that on karaoke? And if we had it, bam, that was our entrance music.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Like elevator music, kind of.
Yeah, but it would be like, I'm trying to think. I don't remember what, but it would be like you'd have like a rock band or something like that, and you'd get the karaoke version of it, and just there you go. Now you got the background theme to it.
My favorite elevator music was the Bee Gees' "How Deep Is Your Love."
Yeah,
I don't know where I heard it, but it burned into my brain, where the lyrics were done with like a saxophone, like. And for whatever reason, I would just get a fucking giggle fit and just fucking giggle like a infant. I would giggle like an infant who found his dick. It was just the funniest thing ever. It's just like, just I don't know. It's always the goofiest things that hit you the hardest and make you laugh. Like, why is that even funny? I don't know why it's funny, but I'm laughing.
So I've got here, the original BWO theme. Yeah. Do you want me to play it over the?
Is that the regular or the extended?
Well, it says original BWO theme. Is that what you?
I sent two over, but like,
okay. Let's hear what this one is.
Okay, let's see. Yeah, this is them jamming on the boombox. Here comes the drums. Okay, hold on. Let it play. And here's where I would come through the curtain. Dong! That's where I come through the curtain right there. So, yeah.
So definitely a different sound than what we're used to.
Yeah. And that's the version when we did Monday Night Raw.
Really?
Can you imagine me going to Monday Night Raw and saying, can we come out to the BWO theme tonight? And
so
like this person from WWE production, and I hand him this fucking I hand my cassette to the fucking person from WWE production.
So that's the one you came out to in the Manhattan Center?
And then Joey from the Swamp Candle saw it and went, shit, we gotta go in the studio. And he
so that was the original BWO theme.
Yeah.
So the one that launches our show and the one that you used.
That's when they went back into the studio and they were like,
and that was because you did it on Raw.
Yeah, and Joe, because well, the NWO had the NWO theme, which sounded like porn music. It was like, and I think it was used.
I think it was. That was always the rumor that it was porn music.
That and the Hollywood Blondes theme, whatever. That was like perfect porn music. But yeah, I hand the guy. I'm at Monday Night Raw. We're going to be on live TV for the first time ever, and I handed my tape. I was like, side one. And that's what Paul used on TV every week. And that's why we came out to the Manhattan Center. And then Joey worked at a sound lab anyway, so he had full access to a studio. So he just hopped in the studio and made a real recording. And he made that version, and there's like an extreme mix, which I have to find somewhere.
Was that the mix that we use as an outro on the show?
No, that's the that was from when BWO did Chikara King of Trios.
Okay.
And they wanted to have like a Chikara World version of the BWO theme, which that's what I was like, man, that's a good outro.
Yeah.
Kind of like, Howard Stern has I'm a Tortured Man on the Way Out of, stuff like that. There's like an intro with the Rob Zombie and an outro with I'm a Tortured Man. And then, but the extreme mix is the BWO theme, but he took all the footage from like Raw and all that stuff and overdubbed like Paulie, overdubbed me, Stevie.
Cool.
Yeah. And like it leads in with the BWO chant, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. Hey, a quick sidebar here. I'd like to.
Yes.
We're talking about the Manhattan Center Raw. I remember that like it was yesterday watching on TV and just because I was at that point, a huge ECW fan, which my buddy Calvin Tan got me into ECW. And I think when you and I, one of the early times that we met, it was when you first met Calvin at the first Starcast. That was something we talked about, was that Calvin didn't have cable. So when he was growing up, like he found ECW on Channel 48, and he was the one who smartened me and my brother up to that, and was just like, dude, have you been watching ECW? And we're just like, no, we watch WWF, WCW. What's this? So then we became in love with it, of course, Philly bass and all that. Well, now all of a sudden we're watching Raw, and here's ECW invading, and oh my God, like I don't know I always wondered what people around the rest of the world were thinking, because
same here.
Yeah. Cause like, any of us who are fans in Philly or New York or, any of the surrounding areas that were like, ECW's home, we were all going crazy for this, but I wonder sometimes if it had like the same appeal as like, on the East Coast when like Jim Cornette brought like the Rock and Roll Express or whatever he was doing, and some of the people were like, okay, well, we didn't really grow up with that. We don't really know. And it didn't go over as well back in, do you remember when they were on Raw?
Was kind of which part was
like the Rock and Roll. I think it was the Rock and Roll Express. That was when he was doing like the NWA.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and it was just like, I remember for me, now years later, I grew to, study and appreciate all different types of wrestling. But when I was growing up, like I didn't that wasn't really my wrestling, that I grew up with. So yeah. So I always wondered if that's how people felt when ECW came out.
Speaking of like a bizarro moment, I think one of the last house shows, it was definitely one of the last WWF house shows I went to before I went off to train. I went to a Spectrum show, WWF, and the Rock and Roll Express were on that show.
Yeah. And
I'd always seen them at the Civic Center for Crockett. Mm-hmm. So this, it's like, it was weird back in the day because like WWE, NWA were run head to head. Like before the Monday Night Wars, they would just to test to see
like
how
the same night. Yeah, they'd run the same night
just to see how they would draw in each house, respectively. See who, how did they do? How do we do? Blah blah blah. So I would all either go to Crockett or WWE, but just to see the Rock and Roll Express in the Philadelphia Spectrum, just it's like a bizarro moment for me.
Yeah.
And it's just like you're saying, you wonder how other people see it. Reminds me of like I liked watching reaction videos on YouTube, and like my favorite channel is this guy No Life Shack. He's like a hip hop dude, and he went viral because he'll record himself watching a song he's never seen before, and he recorded himself watching Leonard Skinner's Freebird, and it was his guttural reaction to Freebird was so pure and awesome that like Jimmy Kimmel played it and all this stuff. But so you talking about like ECW appearing on Raw for the first time, and these people who have never seen ECW, I would love to have been a fly on their wall to go, just a fly on the wall moment, just to be a voyeur and go, let me stand in the corner and just watch this thing this natural reaction happen.
Because there were so many different aspects of it too. ECW had so many characters and so many unique characters that like I'd wonder what people, for instance, they're going to see the BWO come out, and these people who maybe they've never heard of it, but they know the NWO, and they're like, what's this all about? Then you got Taz coming out there at the height of his just being this machine, Sabu, I guess, was that the show when Sabu jumped off the set?
Well, technically he fell off the
right.
he fell off the R.
So my question on it was just, what was that like for you? That experience of being, of being a part of that. Like, how did that come to be? Like, when did you find out that you were going to be on Monday Night Raw? Because you're working in ECW. Probably the furthest thing from your mind was like, hey, sometime in the near future, I'll probably be on Raw. Like, no, you're in a completely different company. Like, why would you even think that? Right.
Well, the week before, I would watch Raw just like everybody else. And I'm sitting on the floor in my house, just watching Raw, just chilling. And out of nowhere, like this is the week before ECW invaded Raw. And the week before, I don't know if it was a plant or a kid legit had the ECW sign. He's behind Lawler, who's on camera. He's holding up the ECW sign. And he takes the ECW sign, rips it up. You know what I think of this? Extremely crappy wrestling or whatever. I'm like, oh my God. I mean, I was like, that's cool. I didn't care if it was a shoot or a work or whatever. It was like a realistic.
Well, it's getting people to go, I wonder what that is. Let me do a little research and find out about ECW.
What made Jerry go all, fall off his game for a second there, and then a little bit later in the show, Paul calls in, like we got here on the phone, Paul Heyman, and then Paul E and Jerry Lawler have this back and forth. Now I'm sitting on my floor in my house in South Philadelphia, just watching Raw, and my boss calls into Raw, challenging for a fight, and Jerry Lawler goes, well, what are you going to do? Bring the Blue Meanie? And I'm still like, if there was a camera on me, I'm like looking around like I'm on Punked,
That's the reaction video I would like to see.
Yeah, I felt like it felt like a Chappelle show moment where I just like go around, what the fuck, and just.
I didn't remember that he had said.
It's on YouTube.
I believe you. I'm not, questioning you. I'm not going to fact check you.
Fact check me, bro.
No, that's insane though. That's
you're at home watching TV and they call you. The one guy calls your name out of nowhere, and you are not privy to any of this happening ever. So that happens. My phone, before texting people, my phone blew up, what the fuck? And then, we get to, I forget where the town was the next week, but we get there and, Paul pulls me and the BWO side. It says, hey, you guys are booked next week for this Monday. That was Raw Monday. We drive to wherever. I'm sure I could look it on History of WWE or historyofwwf.com. That's where I get all my dates and stuff like. But he goes, yeah, the BWO's booked this Monday on Raw, and I'm just like, what? And it was amazing.
Did you have any idea what you were going to be doing? Were you just
nah? Just all I knew was we got up early. I left my house. I went to Raven's place. Me and Stevie met with Raven at Raven's place, and then we drove up to Yonkers, New York, which is like an hour north. And all the ECW troops met up at Tommy's house, and we like caravan down to. Is like, cue the Imperial Death March, dun, 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 dun.
And were you all wearing your ECW shirts? And
we all had the team jackets. Like we looked like the 1980 German powerlifting team or whatever, which I loved. I still got I still have my ECW Adidas hoodie, or not hoodie, but zip up.
Yeah.
And I have my original ECW varsity jacket, the red one with the black sleeves.
Oh wow!
I think that's what we rolled up in.
Wow.
So we go and we park. I mean, it was great. It's like, or forget the Imperial Death March. Just cue up the Eastbound and Down theme. Eastbound and down, rolling up and trucking. Yeah, we all drove. We did this caravan down to the Manhattan Center from Tommy's house.
And how nervous were you during this time? Like,
it was bizarre. Just like,
so you've got basically there's 48 hours between, give or take, right? So Saturday you find out you're doing this, Monday you're doing it. You've got 48 hours of someone telling you you're booked on Raw. Like, again, and this isn't like a knock, like, oh, the Blue Meanie could never be on Raw. This was like you worked for ECW. That'd be like a dude going on, working on Nitro and being like, oh yeah, you'll be booked on Raw. You'd be like, no, like I work for a different company. So you've got 48 hours to think to yourself, oh my God, I'm going to be on Raw. Yet you have no idea what you're doing.
No.
Like I'd be going out of my mind. Like that's amazing.
It was, dude, it was just, I was in, I don't want to say I was comfortable in ECW, but I was in my ECW bubble.
It was your home.
I was used to doing TV, but nothing live. Like, it was taped and, edited and all that stuff and wrapped up neatly in this, 1 hour package. Mm-hmm. If you shit your pants on Raw, you shit your pants, or, you trip or do whatever on Raw, it's permanent.
Yeah.
So it's that whole live factor that's dangerous. It's got that dangerous feel to it.
You used to shit your pants in ECW all the time, but they were always able to edit it out. So there's a pair of my underwear on the roof in Detroit somewhere. I was joking, but now I feel like,
oh dude, I was wrestling a little sidebar. Remember the spot where we are right now?
Okay,
but
sidebar to the sidebar because sometimes my thoughts go out into the ether,
dude. It was the day after or 2 days after. It was like January 3rd, 1998, because I looked this up. And I was wrestling Jason Knight in Detroit, and we had been doing the same match around the loop. Well, not the same match, but we were doing this match around the loop, and he hit me with a clothesline, and I bumped so hard that I felt a little in my pants. Like, it was like a, oh boy. And I was like, uh-oh. And I was like, oh my God, I shit my pants. And this is like the first minute and a half, 2 minutes into the fucking match.
How long were you going?
Oh, about 10 maybe. And I had to do a moonsault. And,
oh God.
Yeah, that was dangerous. It easily could have turned into a fucking Gallagher show where the front row would have needed a fucking tarp to cover themselves. When he does the sledge-o-matic with the fucking watermelon. It could have been dangerous. Somebody could have had a brand new hat in the front row, But so I take the bump, in my pants,
Mhm.
and I shit myself, and fucking Jason grabs a chin lock, and I'm just sitting there, I'm just wafting in it. I'm just like, oh, this is. It's like I ate too many. It's like I was sitting there like I ate too many sweets. I'm just like, oh, my belly.
And Pod Squad, if you're listening and you're not, if this is your first episode of Mind of the Meanie, go back to last week's episode to learn a little bit more about the smell that has the tendency to come from the Blue Meanie. All right, continue.
So I'm in the chin lock and fucking and I'm being managed by Bill Wiles.
Okay.
Stevie had left for WCW. Me and Nova were a team. Fucking Nova was the next match, so he didn't really come out with me. So he was wrestling Taz after me, so he didn't come to the ring with me. It's all a blur. But I specifically remember Bill Wiles, who was Boogaloo Bill Wiles, because Bill Wiles is an amazing drummer, but he can also break dance. So we would hide cardboard under the ring and have him break dance and all that. So he's Boogaloo Bill Wiles. He's at ringside, right? So I shit my pants. I'm in a chin lock, and the smell starts hitting ringside. And Bill Wiles is like, fuck. And he looks, he goes, you people fucking stink. And just because like he's on the side, like facing me, cheering me on, like, come on, Meanie. He's like, oh, fuck this. I'm out. He went out to the other side of the ring because he thought it was a fan in the crowd.
Yeah.
And then the smell hit that side. And he was like, oh, come on. Pulls that ringside. Oh, come on. Does anybody sound fucking bathe? So we do the match. I go, thank God it was just like a fucking tater tot. It wasn't like a full on, I didn't have a meatloaf or anything. It was just, it's just like a little, and, so I go up for the meanie salt, do the meanie salt and whatever, match finishes. I go straight to the locker room, and word got back to the locker room by time, and fucking Sandman goes to the locker room. Yow, Meanie shit his pants. I didn't even go to the locker room. I went straight to the showers and just peeled off and just like hit the fucking shower water and just I'm leaning against the wall like getting hosed off like an elephant in a fucking circus. This is like so disgusting. So I'm sitting there and fucking Paulie and the rest of the fucking locker room walk in like it's like a teen movie, where Lucas is going to the fucking locker and he pulls out his varsity jacket and they give him the slow clap. Except I'm not Lucas. I'm Meanie. I'm leaning against the wall, making the hot water hit my ass to hose off. And Paul and the rest of the locker room come in and give me the Lucas slow clap, like, ha ha ha, you shit your pants. So I regained myself and I slid right. There's an entrance to the left of the shower. To the right, you can like slide out to the back of the building. Mm-hmm. I slid out back of the building. I did a Kareem Abdul-Jabbar hook shot and threw my underwear on the fucking roof. So, and I have went to the extreme of going on Google Earth and looked at the roof, looked for the rec center in I think it was Lincoln or whatever, Michigan or whatever, to see if my underwear was still on the roof like 20 years later. But spoiler alert, they're not.
Now, what year was it when this happened?
98.
Okay.
It was, dude, I remember because it was New Year's Eve. New Year's Day. I drove to Detroit with Nova and the sound guy Randy, who's a character. Mm-hmm. So if I ever say sound guy Randy, he's like Richie for Magic. He did a lot of behind the scenes stuff too. But I drove out there and they had to pick me up on New Year's Day in Philly in the middle of the fucking Mummers Parade, which is,
oh man,
everybody knows the Mummers Parade. There's no place to drive. They're like, man, we couldn't even find your house. So I drove out. So I just knew I got picked up on New Year's Day. We drove out to Detroit.
1998, you said?
1998.
So Google Earth has, I think it's only on the computer, but they have an app, like a time machine app. So you can actually go back in time to, now obviously as the years go back, the quality gets worse.
It's like the Zapruder film.
You can go back and see. So I don't want to do it now and risk disconnecting us.
Yeah, we don't want that to happen.
But that's something that we're gonna look. And if we find it, we will post it on our social media.
It's on fan cam at least.
Is it really
somewhere? Feinstein recorded every show
of you actually. But I want to see that. I want to see your underwear on the roof.
That'd be funny if it was painted around like.
Did you ever see like outline of?
Or did you ever see the line where people are painting roads and they go around the dead raccoon in the road? And it's just my underwear. They're like, I ain't fucking touching that. God.
Could you imagine? Because at some point that roof, obviously, if it's not up there, one of two things happen. Either a storm. Well, I was going to say a storm blew it down, which somebody then had to find that, or someone had to go up onto that roof and redo the roof. And they find this decade-old fossilized meanie tater tot.
Imagine going on the roof and you see a pair of tidy whities that look like they got bingo stamped, and just fucking this. It's like the Terminator put his laser pointer on it, like, it's just like this brown dot, just like.
Good Lord. So going back, I have to say, sometimes you'll say something and I'll think, oh, maybe I can make a little joke right here. And there's sometimes where I go, I'll just let him keep doing his story. But I have to tell you,
go for it.
I'm always going to go for it from now on, because even if the joke's not funny, man, I just made a little joke, a little poking fun. I had no idea that was going to result in an actual story of you shitting your pants in the ring. But so going back where you guys are as the ECW team, you guys are making your way to the Manhattan Center.
Let's take this exit back onto the highway of Monday Night Raw.
So you arrive at the Manhattan Center, and prior to giving your demo to the crew there.
Hey kid, this is my music side one. This person in a suit, and I'm fucking dressed like a fucking whatever I'm dressed like at that time. I had no fucking fashion sense. No, we park, and we walk. The Manhattan Center is part of the Hammerstein Ballroom, and we park in the garage, and we leave the garage, and fans are already lined up, and I forget what time we got there, maybe like 11:30, 12 o'clock for TV is usually a 1 o'clock call time. And, dude, we walk around, we got all our jackets on. And as we're walking to go in the building, an ECW chant breaks out because all the people on the line were ECW fans, and they got there before WWE fans.
Now, and the Manhattan Center is upstairs, I believe, right?
It's like the 7th floor.
Right.
It's like the 7th, because the rib on us, we felt like the whole day was going to be a rib. Like they were still taking parts of the ring. They had to take parts of the ring up this like elevator.
Yeah.
So we couldn't get on the elevator because they were still taking parts of the ring up. So we had to climb 7 fucking flights, and it felt like a rib.
So the Hammerstein Ballroom, which is the main level, right? That's
right. That's
so
the big room,
and that's something that ECW ran a ton of times
towards the end in the last.
So that's what I wanted to ask was, had ECW run there yet or no?
No, okay. No. We were still running the little. We were running ECW Arena, or we were running the local CYOs. And like up in Scranton CYO or whatever, the little buildings. But the cool thing about the Hammerstein, like that wall of people felt like the AC/DC video for Thunderstruck. It was just like this fans are on top of you, and they're rabid and stuff like that. But like I said, we're going to the building, and an ECW chant breaks out, and we see a lot of familiar faces and stuff like that, and we walk up and make our way to the main room. And it was so cool seeing the Manhattan Center, because you're used to seeing it from the hard cam's perspective, but to see the other side to see where the hard cam is and stuff like that. And it's very cool. It's very cool. We walk in, say hellos. The Godwins were there. They were super cool. The Blackjacks were there. Everybody was there.
So how many people did you know? A lot of people that worked at WWE or WWF at the time?
Not well enough. Like I had met like guys like when I first started training, I went to my first show with Al. We did a show in Detroit for like Midwest Territorial Wrestling, and Road Warrior Hawk was on the show.
Okay.
And he was at that Raw that night.
Was Al working for them at that time or no?
He was, but I don't know why he wasn't at this one. Also, it needs to be noted, like when this Raw was happening and ECW was on, they were having an overseas tour. So there's a lot of guys over. I think there was a crew over in Germany, so he might have been on the Germany tour. So that's probably, I was hoping to see Al.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, I didn't see Al. And when I first met Road Warrior Hawk at that show, like when I was first breaking it, I hadn't even taken a bump yet, or maybe I trained for a little bit, but my friend Phyllis Lee, who I always give praise to, she takes me aside and introduces me to Hawk. She goes, "Oh, Hawk, this is Al Snow student. This is Brian. He's from New Jersey." And Road Warrior Hawk gives me a pat on the shoulder and goes, "Good luck, kid. It gets worse from here." I was like, "Thank you." And flash forward to we're at Raw, and before like cell phones were popular, I had to make a phone call on like there's like a payphone in the locker room. I think Hawk was waiting for me to get off, and I got hang up. He's like, he said something funny. Yeah, Hawk was a funny fucker. He was so super funny. I think he's like, thanks, Biggins. I didn't think you were getting off the phone or something like that, or just something goofy. I popped. I didn't care.
Yeah.
But we show up to Raw, and they're like, "Okay, you guys are getting dressed here." So they tell us to go up this flight of steps. We go up this flight of steps. Doors locked, and Taz goes, "They're ribbing us already, brother. They're ribbing us already." So we're like, "Oh, they're fucking with us, right?" So they send us to this locker room. This not a locker room. So we had to find some place to get dressed or whatever. And we're walking around, and there's catering, which I'm a fan of.
Sure.
Booked and unbooked catering, which you can find a shirt at prowrestlingtees.com/Blue Meanie. So we go to catering, and this is like one of my favorite Tommy Dreamer stories ever. We go to catering, and we're going around looking to see what they got, and Dreamer walks up to me, dead faced, stone like plain, just like, well, not serious, but like he has a good poker face. He walks up to me, goes, "Meanie, I can't keep my game face on." I was like, "Why, Tommy?" He goes, "They have cheesecake." Fucking. Yeah, you just got to pop for it. Meanie, they have cheesecake, and it's fucking great. I just popped. That's how I went over and had a slice of cheesecake. And, but just that whole setting up, giving the jabroni my tape. Hey, side one, and then eventually we found out what we were doing, and with the BWO, we weren't coming through the entrance, so we had to figure out a way to the ring. And there was a guy, I wish I could remember his name. You see him in Beyond the Mat, or you see him in the Bret Hart documentary and stuff like that. Really cool dude, and it's killing me. I can't think of his name. But he's like, "Okay, this is where you're going to come through." And we had to devise a way that like we could sneak. It was essentially we had to sneak underneath the bleachers, go in through this door, and we walked through. I mean, they didn't have a production truck, but they had like a room where like it looked like Cape Canaveral, wall full of TVs and all this stuff where they can, live produce the show.
Sure.
We had to walk through that to this other side door, down a flight of steps, go through the door, and then we would hop the guardrail and go to the ring to do what we had to do. Shows live. The guy who devised this plan to walk us to where we had to go comes, grabs us. We're in our gear. It's like we're almost, when you watch Raw from the Manhattan Center, that thing of bleachers,
Mhm.
we had to walk underneath the bleachers, like, so we're not seen.
Right.
Go in through the door. Now they're live. Now, when we did the first walkthrough, there was nobody there. So we go in there. They're live producing the show. So these two goofballs in Daisy Dukes and half shirt, and the guy dressed like a fucking superhero walk in with we all got fake beards painted on. We're standing there and we're waiting for our cue, and like we're just kind of like hanging out, watching them. They're like, can you not like be in here? Like they were like so uncomfortable that we were just
place that the last place they would want you to be is where you guys are just hanging out.
Yeah, we're just hanging out. We're like, well, we got to go out this door for so that whole that whole standoff for a second, like, no, we're not leaving. We got to go out this door, and we can't be seen. So and so says it's cool,
So was like a Kevin Dunn in there? Was it like that type of?
I honestly don't remember. I don't remember faces. That part's a blur to me.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
But dude, I was blown up just from nerves. Like, when like you get some sort of news and like your face goes, you get like red hot. You feel like you think you got a fever, and your fucking tongue feels like it's swollen, and you're just like, I can't produce any moisture. Your mouth goes dry, and you're just like, dude, I was just like, holy shit, blown up even before we hit the ring. And then watching the monitor, we see the cue, and then we see Paulie make the announcement, and then Stevie grabs the door, and we all run out the door, and we're like, shit's on. And they give us a bunch of BWO shirts to throw out. So we go out, and of course, I take like an extra second, like, to get over, because I'm Meanie, and Stevie gives me a little like not like a push, but like a little shove, and like it wound up. It looked like he shoved me out of the way, which he didn't. But like the next week at the next show, Bubba read them. You shoved Meanie out of the way. And then we go to the ring, throw out the t-shirts, and we do it, and it's bizarre. You're in the ring. You go from watching Raw the week before. Yeah. You're in the ring, staring down, looking at Vince McMahon and Jerry Lawler at the announce table and stuff like that. And it was just so cool, so surreal. You see the fourth wall. Don't break the fourth wall, but you see the fourth wall where the hard cam is and stuff like that. And you just got again, it's like a pit feeling. You got people like cheering and stuff like that. And it was so cool.
Did it feel bigger or smaller when you were there?
It definitely felt smaller.
Okay. That's what I was wondering. I've always experienced that with like any sets I've been on or anything, a lot of the time, everything just feels a little bit smaller than what it looks like on TV. Production is always makes everything look so much bigger. So I was curious, but I mean, look, it may have felt smaller, but I'm sure it definitely felt bigger having a live audience than sitting at home watching it on TV. Yeah.
And, another like cool comparison is like the Manhattan Center looked a lot like Al Snow's gym. Like when I first went to Al's gym, he had like a balcony which went all the way around, just like the Manhattan Center. He had a stage where fans sat and stuff like that. Oh, wow. So if you can ever find like a tape from like the old Al Snow's, like, because he had a couple cool shows on there where like he wrestled Sabu or he wrestled Benoit and stuff like that. Well, he didn't wrestle Benoit. Benoit wrestled. Al wrestled Benoit at Body Slammers, and Sabu jumped off the balcony onto both of them and stuff like that, and a huge brawl broke out. But like you walk into Manhattan Center, I felt like I was walking into the Body Slammers gym. So it was really cool in that aspect,
And so you go in there, you do your thing, you throw out your shirts, you hit the blue guy, the Scott Hall, pose there.
Yeah, I originally,
I just did, but no one can see that I was doing it. The thumbs to yourself, kind of.
Yeah, and I grabbed the mic. I used to go, "Hey, Burger King man," and I legit wanted to go out and like like when he called me out on Raw the week before, I wanted to come out to the ring the next week with like wearing Burger King crowns, but Paulie nixed it for some reason. Because like the one week they called us out, they called ECW the Bingo Hall. They're like they made like the NWO was on commentary, and they made a jab at ECW calling us, the Bingo Hall Wrestling, and they shouted out Bill Alfonso. The next week we came out and started throwing out bingo cards to the crowd as the BWO. And Nova grabs them like B22, the BWO, or something like that. So like anytime like they made a little jab at us,
you just ran with it, you got it over.
And the BWO just would go out and kind of like wink, wink, nudge, answer back by throwing out bingo cards the next house, the next arena show or whatever. So when he called me out on Raw, wow, are you gonna bring the Blue Meanie? The next show I wanted to come out with like it might have been in Queens. Now that I'm thinking about it, and I wanted to like get us a bunch of Burger King crowns from Burger King and just walk out to the ring just as a little jab back for whatever reason. I think if I hadn't brought it up, Paulie wouldn't have nixed it. I should have just done it. Yeah, it's like one of those things. It's easier to ask for forgiveness than permission, which wouldn't have been like a cardinal sin, of me just freewheeling a Burger King crown to the ring. Yeah, right. But it definitely would have. It definitely would have been a cool moment, I think.
I want to take a quick pause at that point in time because we're talking about all of these moments from the past, and that seems like a great time to talk about our sponsor for the third week in a row.
Yay!
SOS Custom Network, back again. Really appreciate them being here and sponsoring the show. You can go to www.soscustomnetwork.com and view some of the best independent wrestling from the Carolinas and beyond. You witness wrestlers such as CM Punk, Colt Cabana, the SATs before they were stars. And then you can see people like, we mentioned the Rock and Roll Express and the blue guy himself, the Blue Meanie. ECW icon, the Sandman. You can relive these unforgettable moments made by the true stars of professional wrestling. Plus, they have original programming like interviews, commentary, professional match critiques from professionals, and deep dives into the inner workings of an indie promotion, which I think is just super cool and interesting. We've talked about this every week, over 500 hours of wrestling content for only $4.99 a month. But wait, there's more. A special for the Mind of the Meanie fans, for the Pod Squad. You can go and get 40% off by entering the promo code Meanie at checkout. 40% discount on the first month subscription. That brings it down to $2.99. So what are you waiting for? Go now. Support indie wrestling and the Mind of the Meanie podcast by going to soscustomnetwork.com. Meanie, we've been talking about this. This is the third week now. Really appreciate their sponsorship. And it's something that we believe in. You're on there. People can see, you tell all these great stories. This is an opportunity for people to see some stuff that they wouldn't be able to see on the WWE network. This is a lot of classic Blue Meanie on here.
And I think by now we all got our coronavirus check. So I mean, if you can't afford $2.99 in the apocalypse, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, just take it out of that. The government is taking care of you. The government wants you to go to soscustomnetwork.com and just spend $2.99.
Boomer Payne over there at SOS. Boomer effing Payne, good dude. He's doing a great job over there at SOS. And dude, I mean, you figure, WWE's $9.99 a month. I mean, if you can't do $2.99 a month, I mean, and plus you're gonna see all this content that nobody else has really seen, except for the people who were there live to watch it in person. So you're going to get fresh new content in great quality. So many different things. Like I said, dude, I'm loving. I can watch some Rock and Roll Express. I just said how I watched the Rock and Roll Express at the Philadelphia Spectrum for the first time, and that felt weird. It'd be cool to go on SOS and see, the Rock and Roll Express back in the day and stuff like that, and all these other different guys. Sandman's on there. I'm on there. Yep. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Hopefully, I left the ring all in one piece and fresh as a daisy. But
you never know.
You never know, but there's only one way to know, is go over to the website and subscribe now.
Yes, you go to soscustomnetwork.com, and again, you can save 40% on your first month subscription. It's only $2.99. You should go use the promo code Meanie. 40%. Yeah, you could go and it's funny because we always know about how these wrestlers, how many days they're on the road, how much they're wrestling, and you only see them once a week on television or maybe once every other week or whatever it is. This is an opportunity to see matches of some of your favorite stars on their way up, and some of your favorite stars maybe after they were, talking about Rock and Roll Express, maybe after their highest of fame, but just to see, hey, they didn't disappear. They're still working. They're still out there and, keeping themselves fresh so they could go on to win more tag team titles in 2020, which is just insane. But again, go to soscustomnetwork.com. You can find them on social media. Twitter is at SOSCustomWN. Facebook is SOS Custom Wrestling Network. And again, that website is SOSCustomNetwork.com. We thank them again 3 weeks in a row, the hat trick. Really, really appreciate it.
Thank you. 3 thank yous. So thank you very much. And, if you want to, sponsor, mine and DeMeanie, I'm sure SOS can say that, they've personally reached out and thanked us for these commercials and stuff like that. And they've seen a rise in sales. So feel free if you want to advertise with mine and DeMeanie.
Yeah. Send a message over. To mindandthemeanie@gmail.com. Not to step on your toes there, but.
If that's the worst thing that ever happened to me, I'm good.
God, remember that time I was trying to say a email and Josh just took the words right out of my mouth.
Dude, he just totally raked my fucking eyes.
So yeah, again, thank you so much. SOSCustomNetwork.com. Check them out.
Thank you, Boomer.
So we'll put a little bow on the on your trip there into Monday Night Raw. So it was obviously a positive experience for you.
And the funny thing is, we didn't even plan on talking about this.
No.
Cool.
We don't plan. We don't plan on talking about anything, and I love it. And that's why if you ever listen to the show, I think it's always fun the first 5 minutes or so. But the first 5 minutes are us just kind of like, hey man, how's it going? And then just see where this takes us. And I love that because we're not stuck on any specific thing that we're forced to talk about. And you mentioned something, it sparked something in me that makes me want to know more about it. And then I think everybody just gets to enjoy your stories.
Yeah. It's like, dude, every week, before we do the show, I go on my phone, I make a list of notes, and I got like 7 things on there. I think I touched one of them, with, giving Joey Campbell a shout out, and which turned into a story, but yeah, dude, that's the beauty thing. It's like us, being in 2 separate locker rooms, meet in the ring and lock up. Yep. Hey, what do you want to do?
Yeah, we're calling it in the ring.
But yeah, that whole thing was, magical, during the Monday Night Raw. Stevie wrestled Little Guido,
mm-hmm.
and I didn't really get too involved because we were in a time crunch. It's live TV and stuff like that, so I'd still pop in, did a little bloop, and then pop back out.
Mm-hmm.
And it's cool if you go. I think 7-Eleven was doing fan cam of it. I don't know whoever had that 7-Eleven guy, but I think he has a website where he sells tapes, and he might sell the best of the BWO. You can find like his fan cam footage somewhere.
I don't know.
Somewhere.
Google it.
But yeah, you see, like we did the match. You won. Stevie won. We celebrate in the ring, and we go out the way we came in. And we walk through that door that we came out, and I just find a stairwell, and I'm just, there's like an overflow of emotions.
Sure.
Because you don't know what you're walking into, and you do it, and you walk out of it unscathed, and you hop over to reality, go through the locker room, and you did it. You're like, we did it. And it's like, I found a stairwell, like did a little kneel down. I don't pray, but I just was like, just exhale,
Yeah.
go back to the locker room, get dressed, and then watch the rest of the show. Stand in the stand by the monitor, watch the rest of the show, and watch how WWE does their magic, because it was way different than how we did things. You know,
I'd have to imagine though that for you at that point in your career, obviously years later you'd go on to become a WWE superstar, WWF superstar. But at that point in time, there had to have been this feeling, or at least I would imagine there was this feeling of like, no matter where I go now, I appeared on Monday Night Raw. Like, this is bucket list. Like, you know, hey, if my career never goes higher than ECW, that's something I'm always going to be able to say I was on an episode of Monday Night Raw.
oh,
And not
absolutely.
not to belittle anyone who's been on as enhancement talent, because that's awesome too, and a great accomplishment, but not as enhancement talent, as the Blue Meanie, a guy that's had you came out there with no build up. You were just brought out as a big character on Monday Night Raw. And I mean, that's I don't know if people, I feel like people who saw it live can really appreciate that. And I guess younger people, maybe they can appreciate too, but especially at that time, like, that was pretty much unheard of for people to come in from another promotion that were being treated with no fanfare, just automatically, oh yeah, they're a big star. You know, that's
It's like wrestling's wrestling, right? But then there's different branches of wrestling. You got, at the time, you had the ECW, you had WWE, ECW. Think of it as like Law and Order.
Mm-hmm.
There's Law and Order, there's SVU, whatever. It's kind of like an SVU, character switched over to the regular Law and Order.
Yeah.
ECW just on a special Monday Night Raw. ECW does a crossover with Yep. But what a hell of a rub.
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about getting a rub in a bit, like that's what you do in the ring's important, what you do out of the ring's important, but like if there's something that can put a little more, shine on you, a little bit more polish, give you that rub and make you look, give you that, appearance of being bigger.
And as an ECW fan, I remember, just watching that and being so happy that no one was squashed. No one was belittled. You know what I mean? Because you easily could have, we've seen this happen many times where somebody's brought in and they could have just made a mockery of it and really but they really, you talk about getting that rub, they really allowed you guys to get yourselves over. It wasn't a matter of them doing anything other than presenting you that platform. So I remember as a fan just being like, this is, it was like a vindication for an ECW fan, to just be like, see this little thing that like we all love. Now everybody's getting to see it. And, that was very cool.
And a little piece of useless knowledge, that quarter hour that the BWO was on Raw beat out Nitro, which was like unheard of, because you talk about the 83 weeks that, WCW was ahead of Raw in the ratings, and they were always looking for this little anything
just to get ahead. Yeah.
Just to give them a little shove ahead of Nitro. So that was another rib, when we walked in the locker room at the next ECW show the next week, Paulie sees Steve and goes, "Hey, what's up, ratings?" Because who would have thought that and now that I think of it, the BWO was the impetus of Vince McMahon first publicly acknowledging the NWO on TV at all.
I think the word you're looking for was impotent.
That.
Yeah. No,
whatever you just said.
No, that's definitely not it.
I know. But no, we were like, back then you never really mentioned the competition on TV except for when they did the billionaire
thing.
But
no, they hadn't.
But like during our segment, BWO segment, Vince McMahon said, not to be confused with the clothing line NWO.
which is fantastic. The clothing line.
Yeah, we were a tool for Vince McMahon to throw a little jab at WCW to go, the not to be confused with the clothing line NWO. Well, that was more Finkel than Vince.
But, that was definitely a Fink voice.
Hello, Blue Meanie. This is Howard Finkel. How are you?
Hey,
yeah.
someone who maybe didn't succeed quite as well as Paul Heyman did would be a guy that was covered on Dark Side of the Ring this past week. And I definitely, this was actually a note that I had to bring up. Cocaine and Cowboy Boots, the Herb Abrams story, was
sounds like a country album.
Yeah, just a fantastic episode. Another great episode of Dark Side of the Ring. Really a kind of a tragic yet comical story, I guess would be the best way to, Herb Abrams and the UWF. But the star of the show, at least in my book, was you posted it on social media, and I know our stuff retweeted it. You made an appearance on that episode as a fan at the convention that they showed. So can you tell us, give us your thoughts on the episode and tell us a little bit about that convention and just any interaction that you had with Herb Abrams, if you had any.
And this goes back to my Monday Night Raw story where I'm just last week. When was it? Or Wednesday, Tuesday, whatever.
Yeah, Tuesday nights.
Yeah, Tuesday at 10. Shout out Dark Side of the Ring. And I'm just sitting back watching the show, not knowing what I'm going to watch. But then they start talking about the John Arezzi convention, and they show a clip from the convention, and I saw myself, and I literally jumped up out of my couch, went, "Holy shit, that's me!" And and
the best part is there's no way they knew that you were in that. There's no way that they knew, and so it's like an extra little bonus for their show.
I'm friendly with just Jason and with Evan from Darkside, and I love them. I profess my love to them every time because I love documentaries and what they're doing. But in no way did they knowingly put this clip in the show from the convention, knowing I was going to be in it. And I had no way as a viewer sitting at home know I was going to be on this show that's about to air. I'm watching it like every other fan. I'm a wrestler. I wrestled I've been in business since '94. But I still sit back and watch wrestling. I take my wrestler hat off, put it aside, and I'm a fan. I'm a big fan of the show. And when I saw that, I literally jumped up and I rewound it, and I just busted out my camera phone, took a photo of the screen, and did the old circle around myself. Yep. And then, where I'm sitting, I have I don't know, I don't even know why I have it next to me. I have a photo album, which I'll show you on camera. They won't see it at home, but this is my markism book, my wrestling markism book. And here, I was like, oh my God. And I start flipping through the pages, and there's a photo of me from that convention. Yeah. There's because you see me in the shot. It's from a blurry VHS. So me on convention footage, I'm like the Bigfoot footage where it's a blurry meanie just walking through the woods.
You can't appreciate the mullet or the deep cut tank top that you were wearing.
I could have braided my chest hair with my mullet, and I would Bo Derek would have been that's sexy.
What I thought was the best about that was you were wearing blue.
Dude, that's so weird. I was saying this to Mrs. Meanie, that even before I was the Blue Meanie, blue was my favorite color. And I've been watching that Last Dance documentary about the Michael Jordan Bulls. There was a point where Dennis Rodman almost influenced me to just dye my hair blue in wrestling. I was thinking about doing my hair blue for wrestling, even before the Blue Meanie was pitched to me and all that stuff. Because in wrestling, you got to do something to be different. What can I do to be different? If somebody's doing this over there, do the opposite. Because if you got a card full of people looking the same, what's the point? But getting back to the show, I was wearing the blue tank top, which in hindsight, I probably should wear a little bit more clothing. But I felt like I was walking in from the beach or whatever.
What year was that? Tank top
and, 91, I want to say.
Yeah, that was still acceptable clothing.
Yeah, well, acceptable hair too.
Yeah,
because I had the Bobby Eaton special with the mullet. I specifically grew that mullet because I was in love with Bobby Eaton. And people go, "Oh, who's your favorite wrestler?" And I hate giving lists and saying, but Bobby Eaton, man.
Yeah, if you're listening to this,
I've never seen
him work. Oh my God,
I've never seen a bad Bobby Eaton match.
No.
He almost kind of looked like Tina Yothers from Family Ties. He had that like blonde hair, that blonde bleach blonde.
Never put that together. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a deep cut. But you never saw Bobby Eaton and Tina Yothers in the same room at the same time. But
very good point.
But but dude, that whole the little background on the convention. In Philly here we had Joel Goodhart's Wrestling Radio. And he had the Square Circle fan club. And, every Saturday morning on WIP at like 10 a.m., he would have Wrestling Radio. And it was ahead of its time. It was like in New York, John Arezzi had his wrestling talk show, which if you go check out his podcast, I think he plays clips from it. It's really cool. John Arezzi had a radio show in New York. He gave birth to, Vince Russo getting into the business. He would have Mick Foley on. He would have a woman on, all this stuff. Well, in Philly, we had Joel Goodhart. Similar deal where Joel was running Tri-State Wrestling Alliance, which if you're an ECW fan, Tri-State Wrestling Alliance was the precursor to ECW, which I know. Here's a sidebar. Just like mark this in your head where we're at. I'm talking about Joel Goodhart's radio. Sidebar, on the High Spots Network, I got to give a shout out to the ECW unofficial documentary Bob Wire City, which if you're going to watch ECW documentaries, there's Rise and Fall ECW, there's which WWE Paulie produced. Then you get Jeremy Borash's Forever Hardcore, which is a good companion piece to Rise and Fall. Well, Bob Wire City, the documentary, was done by John Filipavich. He started doing the documentary as ECW was still around. He started filming while ECW was there. Long story short, Rise and Fall and Forever Hardcore come out. They kind of put John in a little funk where he kind of put the documentary in pause. He's like, dude, they're doing my same shots, my same interviews and all this stuff. Why am I even doing this? So flash forward 13 years later, he picks up the documentary again because of the Extreme Rising, Extreme Reunion shows, stuff like that. But in the documentary, and this is the point I'm getting to, this is why I like Bob Wire City, the documentary, which is streaming right now. Cheap plug for the High Spot Network. Go watch it. It's one of the best ECW documentaries because they acknowledge Joel Goodhart's Tri-State Wrestling Alliance, which the other two documentaries, even when I got interviewed for Forever Hardcore, I made it a point to say Joel Goodhart and the Tri-State Wrestling Alliance, if there wasn't, a Tri-State Wrestling Alliance, there might not even be an ECW. So I have to, because like I'm a nerd like that, I have to give the background and give props and stuff like that. The first ECW World Heavyweight title was the old Tri-State Wrestling Alliance belt. They just repainted and put ECW on.
Oh wow, I didn't know that. Same with I didn't know that.
The tag belts, the original tag belts for ECW and the singles title, and I don't think the TV title, but those set of belts were the Tri-State Wrestling Alliance belts. Wow. And Todd Gordon owned them and held on to them. And then when they came up with ECW, repainted and put sticker letters on there to say ECW. So Joel Goodhart, yes, the original, the precursor to ECW, he had the Wrestling Radio. So with the Wrestling Radio and Joel Goodhart's Wrestling Radio Square Circle Fan Club, he would do trips. He would do fan trips. If you were in the Square Circle Fan Club, he would do a bus trip to Baltimore for the Great American Bash. Or I went on his Memphis wrestling trip where we flew down to Memphis and did the loop for the weekend. We got to see shows at Mid-South Coliseum. We got to play softball against Jerry Lawler's team. Wow. And every morning we were having breakfast with like Dr. Tom, Eric Embry, Jerry Lawler, Eddie Gilbert, all that stuff. So as a fan, I was the ultimate. But this time around, Joel was doing a bus trip to John Arezzi's convention, which was in Dark Side of the Ring, which is, I'm getting back onto the highway.
Back. Pulling in.
We're back
Get
on the
your blinker
highway.
on. We're,
yeah. Roadhog! That's my Mr. Magoo. Whatchamacallit? Yeah, so, and this was SummerSlam weekend for that. SummerSlam was at Madison Square Garden that year.
It was the one where Bret Hart won his first Intercontinental Championship against Mr. Perfect that year to put in a timeline for people. Yeah.
Yeah. And I know this because Sherry Martel snuck over to the convention and was walking around incognito. And everybody's like, oh, holy shit, Sherry Martel's here. You know, she wasn't supposed to be there, but she stopped over to see her friends and stuff like that. So that's how I remember that SummerSlam was at the Garden that year. So, so we, I was living in Atlantic City at the time and took a ride up to Philly, hopped on the bus, went up to New York with Joel and the crew. And it was awesome. This was like nowadays you see wrestling conventions all over the place and stuff like that. I want to say John Arezzi, and don't fact check me, but I want to say John Arezzi was like the first major like wrestling fan convention ever. I don't know, but to go up there, take the bus up there, go in, and the big get for that year was Ric Flair. I don't know what his status was with WCW. I don't know if he had gone to WWE yet. My timeline's blurry when it comes to that.
I'm thinking if it would have been 91. When did he win? Was 92 when he won the Rumble, or was that 90? That was 92.
It might have been,
92, I think is when he won the Rumble. So
92 when he won the Rumble.
So I guess he got there near the end of 91. Don't fact check me either, folks.
Hey, I was enjoying my coffee. Hold on.
Hey, you know what? Remember where you are, because that is we have mentioned don't fact check me a bunch of times, and you had a sip of your coffee for the apocalypse. And I think that is a great time to talk about some of the awesome shirts. And you sat back down in your chair like a baby in a beanbag chair. So this is a great time just to talk about some of our merchandise. You want to show the world how much you love Mind of the Meanie? Well, then you can go to mindofthemeanie.com. That'll take you directly to prowrestlingtees.com/mindofthemeanie. See all of our great shirts. We have the shirt, Have a Sip for the Apocalypse. That's holding a cup of coffee. And if you look closely, that's a special Meanie coffee brand. We're eventually you're going to have something, either Meanie coffee or Meanie burger. So you can get the awesome Meanie burger shirt. Baby in a beanbag chair.
My favorite is Have a Sip for the Apocalypse, which, all the craziness that's going around us and stuff like that. Might as well just sit back and have a cup of coffee and enjoy the company of the people you're with. Like every day I'm with Mrs. Meanie and I couldn't be happier. But, for dinner, she makes me a Meanie burger.
Yeah.
So,
but hey,
dude, there's so many cool shirts, so many good designs there. For everybody listening to the show, we got a Pod Squad shirt, which, I was a member of the Job Squad. We're like, what do we call it? Fan base. The Pod Squad. And every week the Pod Squad, shows us love on the Twitter machine, and they tell us what they enjoy about the show and stuff like that. So if you want to show how much you really, love the show, besides, look, we love the feedback, but if you want to, be out and about in public when you can, run out for your rations in this apocalypse, why not get a Pod Squad shirt?
Yeah, you can get that. You don't even have to wait until you're allowed back out, as we just found out that Pennsylvania is going to be locked down at least until June 4th. You know what? Get yourself one of those shirts and send it over to our social media. We'd love to see you wearing that shirt. We've got the Don't Fact Check Me in 2 different colors, in blue and in black. There's Meanie Mania. And then there is the classic, the original, the Mind of the Meanie logo tee. Great artwork done by Hal Haney. Man, just some really awesome shirts that I am excited to start wearing around the house and forcing family and friends to wear. But you know what? We say this every week. We thank everybody so much. All of you who have gotten these shirts really just means the world to us, especially during times like this where money is tight. We really do appreciate it. And I said it means the world to us. People are buying shirts around the world. We have had people outside of the United States, which to me, that's something, Meanie, that, I mean, you're far more familiar with being seen on a larger scale than I am. But man, just to know that people are in other countries listening to us just hang out and talk and listening and enjoying it so much that then they wanted to go buy a shirt to support the podcast. That is unbelievably cool. And really appreciate it. And you know what? If you're a fan of the podcast, but at the core, you're just a fan of the Blue Meanie and the BWO, then I encourage you to go to ProWrestlingTees.com/Blue Meanie, where Meanie will tell us right now about some of the shirts that you can pick up there.
Dude, it's amazing that in 2020, I'm still selling BWO shirts. It kind of feels like I'm selling like a punk rock shirt, because ECW was the punk rock of professional wrestling, and the BWO shirt was one of the top selling shirts in ECW history, and very humbling, very cool to see that people still show up to, well, when we were allowed to attend shows, that people were still wearing BWO shirts to Raw or SmackDown or WWE pay-per-views, and hopefully when we're allowed to resume shows, hopefully some show up on AEW, because I love AEW too. I'm a wrestling fan, and I love making shirts for wrestling fans. There's the BWO shirt. There's the Hello Meanie shirt, which was designed by Mrs. Meanie in tribute to Mama Meanie, because Mama Meanie loved Hello Kitty. There's the Unbooked Catering shirt, also designed by Mrs. Meanie, because that was the inside joke between me and some of the wrestlers who work for WWE. If you weren't wrestling, you were sitting in catering watching the show. Unbooked Catering, And my favorite tagline is, "We'll have something for you even when creative doesn't."
Awesome
So,
shirt. Yes, the Mrs. Meanie run-in in the middle of our merch plug.
Mrs. Meanie run-in right there. The Mrs. Meanie run-in has been like a big feedback thing. People loving the Mrs. Meanie run back. Well, she ran back in. But her imitation of Jesse Ventura was way over. Yeah. Ain't that right, Gorilla? She does it way better than I do. But yeah, Mrs. Meanie designed a lot of shirts on ProWrestlingTees.com/Blue Meanie. So it goes to a good cause, and especially in times like this, like we said, we know times are hard and people are struggling, but we're blown away that people are still reaching out and reaching into their apocalypse checks, and showing us a little bit of love, showing us a little bit of spending the money, spending the time, because there's so many places to choose from. So if you go to ProWrestlingTees.com/Blue Meanie or Mind of the Meanie, it's really appreciated. The Mind of the Meanie goes right back into the show, so we can give you quality audio, and hopefully down the line quality video, as we try to expand our broadcasts here.
And again, you mentioned hopefully seeing on AEW when fans are allowed back at these shows. AEW, WWE, Ring of Honor, Impact Wrestling, it doesn't matter what it is. If we see a Mind of the Meanie shirt on there, I can't tell you what's going to happen from that, because Meanie and I haven't discussed it and figured it out yet. But I guarantee you, if we see you with a Mind of the Meanie shirt on camera, you're getting something. Probably another Mind of the Meanie shirt at least. Maybe an autographed 8x10. Something is going to be coming your way. Definitely a shout out on social media and on this show. But some fun things as well. We're going to come up with something, especially the first. Whoever the first one is, oh man,
It could be our version of the Baba Booey chant, where like somebody would walk by a news reporter and yell Baba Booey, Baba Booey, Howard Stern's penis, Baba Booey.
I actually had that when I was at AEW doing like the AEW Plus social media stuff. I've had somebody run up while I was doing that and yell Baba Booey. So it is still happening to this day.
So if you want, Mrs. Meanie running. Hold on, you want to do another run-in? You want to do a Baba Booey?
Make me do it. I'm not gonna dance for you like some kind of circus monkey.
As you put, Mrs. Meanie just went and bought clown noses. So, hold on. She's trying. Hold on. Go ahead.
Oh man.
I don't know. She's. I'm in the middle of a commercial. I'm being fitted for a clown nose. So, just checking.
That's what you can get by supporting the mind of the meanie. You can get.
You never know where you're gonna get with this show. No. We're doing the live read, and
the last T-shirt that somebody purchased that went directly to those clown noses to.
Yeah,
and to the cost of fitting you for a clown nose. Also, if you want, you can go to SayShernoff.com, pick up some cool merchandise that I have. I happen to be wearing a hoodie right now that says "Sarcasm is my superpower." We've got mugs where you can enjoy your coffee, and so much more. And of course, we can't forget our good friends over at Collar and Elbow, the wrestling brand. They've got some awesome shirts. And the BWO has taken over there as well. CollarandElbowBrand.com. Use the coupon code Meanie and save 10%.
Shout out to the good brothers Al Snow and Rod Hicks over at Collar and Elbow. Doing fantastic work. The BWO just recently took over their offices, whether they liked it or not, and did the BWO themed Collar and Elbow mirrored shirt, which you can get right now at Collar and Elbow. And they just they released a Luke Gallows shirt, which
love it.
I won't bother to describe, but if you go to Collar and Elbow right now, it's some good brother stuff on the back of that shirt. I love me some Luke Gallows. I love the Luke Gallows shirt. I can't do it justice. I can't even. I don't even know if I can properly describe it.
I know exactly which one you're talking about, and there's a lot to describe on the shirt.
I'm going to kayfabe that. Okay. But there was an earlier design which they had to nix, but that's neither here nor there. But go to Collar and Elbow, use the promo code Meanie, save yourself some money. You save yourself 10% by using my coupon code, and you're going to get a quality shirt, and you're going to look good. No matter what shirt you get there, the quality design, quality material, quality everything. Big brother Al Snow and Rod Hicks over there at Collar and Elbow.
You're going to like the way you look. Meanie guarantees it.
Oh, no. I can't even guarantee how I'm going to look sometimes, but
You're rocking a cool shirt right now.
Dude, I'm going to shout out this shirt.
Yeah.
Raven sent it to me. Raven, the man who is the reason why I'm here, who found me and gave me my character. It says Raven and the Two Stooges, which you could probably get at his. Well, I know you could get it at his Pro Wrestling Tees because that's where he sent it to me from. It's myself, Raven's in the middle, Lodi's on one side, I'm on the other side. So it's a mixture of both his factions.
The flock and the nest.
Yeah. Yes, and which I forget which one I was.
You were part of the nest.
Okay, thank you. That's why I hired you. But it's like the best of both factions, Well, I'm not saying I was the best, but
you can say this is your podcast.
Okay, well, fuck it. It was the best. It's like Raven and a nod to his WCW crew and his ECW crew, which was pretty cool. So it says Raven and the Two Stooges, and it's done in the three. It looks like a Three Stooges poster. So. If you go over to Raven's Pro Wrestling Tees, grab that. He was kind enough to send me one to rock and wear, which, after I get out here, I have to run out and get my Apocalypse rations. Maybe I'll model it for his Pro Wrestling Tees as well. Raven's a good dude. He he sent this over to me, and I love it. Getting a new shirt in the mail from Pro Wrestling Tees or Colin Elbow is just like Christmas Day to me, man. There's something about opening up a package and smelling the new shirt and the ink on the shirt and stuff like that. I love it, man. I'm still a geek. I'm still a mark. And, these two companies, are the reason why we're able to bring the show to you each and every week.
Yep. I couldn't agree more. I'm sorry. I just ended that with a yep. Yep. I agree. It's like,
there's a comedian. I forget. Wish I could remember his name, but he said, there's no bigger blow off than when you're on a date and you're talking to a girl and she goes, anyway. You just gave that fucking plug a anyway.
There's one time on, and I'll say it here because why not? On Something to Wrestle, Conrad gave this great read about my show a number of months back about Says Shernoff, and not just facts, but he gave he just went into details, and I've had the pleasure of being able to work for him at StarCast, and Conrad Thompson has always been just unbelievably cool to me. And he really went,
Conrad.
he went above and beyond on the read. He really talked about me on more of like a personal level and was very supportive. And then at the end said, Bruce, you want to add anything? And Bruce goes, absolutely. And and he's like, all right, well, thank you for that, Bruce. That was what I just felt like I did to you after you just put all of these things over. And I was just like, yep. So,
and that's the quality
that you get here. Yeah.
Mine at DeMeanie.
But yeah, that was,
dude, shout out to Conrad. I love Conrad. Talk about such a salt of the earth kind of guy, dude. And just to talk to him, listen to his podcast, and he gets it.
That's one of the things I've always.
He gets this.
Yeah, one of the things I've always found that was super cool about him. I mean, that guy has. I think now it's somewhere between 112 and 115 podcasts a week that he does, and
I think you're being mild.
Yeah.
I think you're downplaying it.
But here's a guy who, even before his podcasts were huge, and he's known as the Pod Father and all that stuff. Before all of that, he was always putting over other people's podcasts. And I actually found out about Something to Wrestle from Jim Ross's old podcast, where Jim Ross was putting over Something to Wrestle. And so to me, that's something that we have definitely done on this show. We'll put over anyone that we enjoy, and I believe that there's. You talked about Vince McMahon mentioning the NWO on air, and it being like the first time they did that. But I've always just been a firm believer in. Here's the deal: there are millions of podcasts that you can listen to,
right.
and so many professional wrestling podcasts. Some not so good, some that are great. We really appreciate when you take the time to listen to us. We're not threatened by anybody else. You're allowed to enjoy multiple shows. And that's something that I really felt that, Conrad with all of his shows has always done. It's just kind of, supporting other people. It's one of the reasons why we opened up for, we have had podcasts as sponsors on our show. And some people might look at it and go, why are you plugging someone else's podcast on your podcast? Well, why not? If why not listen to ours? And then when you're finished ours, go listen to the other person. They're great. We want to support.
Yeah. I'm sorry. And here's me stepping on your fucking
It's fine.
Sorry. I didn't mean to step on your toes.
It's fine. I have 2 toes left that haven't been broken at this point. I'm kidding.
But
kidding. It's 3.
Yeah. You fucking, what are you, a sloth? Yeah, you 3 fucking toed sloth over there. And don't show me your feet. I fucking hate.
Oh man,
I'll throw up.
We're gonna jump into that in 1 second, but
no, fuck you. No, fuck you. No feet.
No.
But seriously, shut the fuck up.
I saw Mick Foley posted something, and then I saw Mrs. Meanie CC you on the tweet.
Mrs. Meanie,
right? It was right. It was Foley, right? Dude, I found, so we always used to give my buddy Biz a hard time about his feet.
Oh, I thought you were going to say a foot massage.
No. Oh, yeah. No, without question. We always just give my buddy Biz a hard time about his feet. Like we would just say that his feet could like his toes could like go underneath and he could like walk on them, which was not true. We were just, just ribbing him all the time. So I recently, somebody posted some horrific picture of feet, all right, of this foot, right? No. I'm not going to go into detail for you, but you're going to thank me in a second, because I sent that over to my little group of guys, that we've got,
right.
Whatever you call it, text message chain. I saw that, and you and I send each other memes and funny stuff back and forth. And I thought about sending it to you and just honestly forgot to send it to you. And this was probably 2 weeks ago. I had no idea until about a day ago that you had an aversion to feet. People don't, from what I understand now, that could have ended this podcast.
Yeah.
You would just been like, nope, I can't ever. And I never would have even understood why, but
dude,
know that I have that. Know that I have that ready. If I ever feel slighted by the Blue Meanie, he's going to get a...
You're just going to fight. I'll be at like 4 a.m. and I wake up in the morning and I just see that, and it'll be like, what's his name? Joaquin Phoenix in the movie Signs, when he sees the alien come across the screen and he just jumps back from the TV like, no.
Everyone has these things. Like I've got, for whatever reason, when my kids, like I can clean their diapers, I can do things like that. When one of them has snot running down from their nose, I get a feeling,
like key lime pie filling.
I will get a feeling, like a legitimate feeling in my stomach, like I'm gonna throw up.
Yeah.
And my wife just laughs at me about it. I'm a good dad. I'm still a trooper. I'll get in there and I'll let them blow their nose and all that stuff. But oh my God, if I don't know, I don't understand why. And I'm assuming that that's what you get with feet. This like,
I get anger. It's like,
I don't get anger.
I don't want to fucking see him. It's like the motherfucker who's driving down the road and the passenger has his foot out the window, and he's got that one fucking crinkle toe that looks like the Starship Enterprise, and you're like, put that fucking thing back in the car. I don't want to fucking see it.
So is this feet in general, or is it nasty feet?
I think it comes from my childhood.
Okay. Let's relax on the couch there for a minute. Let's dive into this, Meanie.
This is, and no pun intended. I'll put my feet up on this one, and
you're gonna put your own feet up on the table and just disgust yourself. Is what's gonna happen.
Yes. Look, I love my mother. Right, I love Mama Meanie. God rest her soul. She gave me life. She gave me food. She gave me shelter. She gave me all her love, unconditionally, and stuck up for me a lot of times when she probably shouldn't have. Especially when I was wrong. My son didn't paint your aluminum siding. Shit like that. Yeah. I was 7, but my mom had the worst looking feet I've ever seen, ever. And she was a beautiful woman. Her smile could light up a room, and angels would sing and butterflies would shoot out, when she smiled, because she was such a beautiful woman, an adorable woman. Polar opposite. Her feet fucked me up as a kid, because she would wear like flip-flops, maybe a little bit too long, to where like if she took them off, it looked like an impression from a paleontologist, with just like, and like I don't know what it was. It's like when I was a child, I was scared of St. Bernards, because we would go down to Atlantic City and we would stay at this cottage, and the neighbor next door had a St. Bernard, and I was eye level to his balls, so I was afraid of German Shepherds for the longest time, because Kaiser had his German Shepherd and his balls were right like eye level. So I was like, for the longest time, I was scared of German Shepherds. But being my mom's child, being a young child, I was like closer to her feet,
Mm-hmm.
Being like knee level to my mom. And I think that's, all these years later, I see a foot and I'm just like, ugh. or I just get blind rage, like somebody wearing flip flops like through an airport, or somebody wearing flip flops on an airplane. It's like, dude, put those fucking things away.
My next door neighbor, who I assume doesn't listen, and I hope doesn't listen. I'm not saying anything bad. I'm not quality of their feet, but my next door neighbor does not wear shoes ever. I'm talking winter. I will see him taking the trash cans down. No shoes. I see, and his son, same way. They're out gardening. No shoes. I don't understand it. And again, look, I've never gotten close enough to see the quality of his feet. He might have the most beautiful feet known to man, but I am like, I am not someone who likes to, I'm not a flip flop guy. I'm not a sandals guy. I'm not, and man, just, it always like blows my mind. And I'm just like, how are you not uncomfortable just walking around? So I'm not disgusted by it in the way that perhaps you'd probably move if you discovered a neighbor like that. But I'm not disgusted by it, but it just made me think of that. Like, this guy just never, ever, ever wears shoes. Or every once in a while, if it's like really bad, like let's say it just rains, so it's like wet out or something, he'll be wearing like sandals.
Right.
Still,
these motherfuckers, these guys who wear forget feet, people wearing, sliders, the sandals and socks.
That's just confusing.
And you see them walk through grass.
Why?
You see them walk through grass, and you're like, "What if you step in like a puddle?" Yeah. Then you got this wet sock, and you're not home. It's not like you can take it off, so you got to walk around with this. It's like wet bread. It's terrible. It's like So
I had to,
and socks.
My family and we went to Disney World this past October for the first time, taking the kids, and we got stuck in a torrential downpour. Only time it rained, it was just this like one moment, but it was unbelievable. I had to get rid of my sneakers because they just like stunk. They never got, and
were they like cloth?
They were, yeah, they were. It was like right through, like nice airing out sneakers that it just went right through. But dude.
And that's how I ruined the car seat. It was cloth.
Yeah, that's it. It's
last week.
But man,
that shit absorbs.
But my socks were soaked for the rest of the day.
It's the worst,
awful
feeling.
And that's what I'm saying. Like what you're saying. Like, what are these people? Like, what do they step in a puddle, dude? I had the rest of the day. By the time I got back to the hotel, like I felt like, dude, like my feet were like wrinkled. You know what I mean? From like if you're like in a tub too long, it was, oh my God, all I wanted to do was just take my socks off. It was disgusting. But
your feet are all pruned. Yeah. Like,
hey, speaking of things that are pruned, and speaking of,
I don't know where this is going.
Well, I think you know exactly where it's going. We're going to talk about your balls, Meanie. Because support for Mind of the Meanie this week is once again brought to you by Manscaped, the best in men's below-the-belt grooming. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Meanie, man, we had a lot of feedback about your balls.
I don't know if I could do this justice.
No.
I mean, after that first
people
read,
are going to be let down. We even have a t-shirt thanks to that first read. There are not a lot of people who end up getting merchandise off of a read from a sponsor, but we managed to pull that off. So here's what we're going to do. I'm just going to give everybody up front about Manscaped some of the things that I feel like you need to know. Manscaped has, this is probably the biggest part of it, the redesigned electric trimmer. Okay, this is called the Lawnmower 3.0. Manscaped's engineering team spent 18 months perfecting the greatest ball hair trimmer ever created. The Lawnmower 3.0, the third generation trimmer. It features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to prevent manscaping accidents. Millions of balls are about to be nick-free thanks to Manscaped's advanced skin-safe technology. Meanie, you're a guy whose balls are, how would you describe them?
Pendulous.
Pendulous.
And
Meanie's balls are pendulous.
Yes.
And if you have pendulous balls like Meanie, you need to go to Manscaped.
I need to be a little bit, because I think I really went over the board last time, but there's nothing more frustrating that, like, when you're trying to keep the hedges neat for the misses, than having an accident with a pair of clippers that are made for your head. You know, these guys who try to stay neat and clean, and they take the clippers that are meant for your head, and you put in the most sensitive areas, you're going to have a crime scene. And forget what you do with the clippers, and then you go take a shower and you put like soapy water to that, and it's just a big mess. It's a lot of pain and anguish you don't need, and that's why you need Manscaped, because Manscaped has your balls in mind. They just they're looking out for you guys. They're looking out for you and the twins, you and the fellas, so you can keep it neat and clean, but you don't need to have a blood splatter person come over to your house and go, well, this is where the accident happened. Avoid the accident. You don't need a courtroom with Judge Ito going, let's bring in the crimes blood splatter accident person. Avoid the accidents.
Accidents are it's a thing of the past with Manscaped, Meanie.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, a young Meanie back in the day, wanted to keep it neat and clean. I mean, because you're wrestling, you're wearing tights and stuff like that. You don't want to look like you're wearing a 1920s bathing suit with the Brillo pad poking out the side and stuff like that. You want
but you also at the same time, you don't want to look like you're carrying around two Abdul the Butcher foreheads. You don't
want to look like you have buckwheat and the head scissors. So or a troll doll, whichever you prefer. I mean, if you're stealing troll dolls from your local Spencer Gifts or something, you don't keep it neat and clean. Don't be nasty. Don't be nasty, baby.
No, don't be nasty at all. And here's some of the stuff you're talking about. Number one, you don't want to use the same clippers you're using on your head. That's what you're gonna be like. That's just, first of all, it's disgusting. Clippers you're using for your beard, you're gonna use that. It's disgusting. You don't want to do that.
But imagine you take the clippers you use for your head, you put on your balls, and then you put it back on your head. Now you're just a dickhead. So
well said.
Yeah. So go to Manscaped.
Go to manscaped.com now. But here's something else that we didn't talk about last time. They have things, not just the trimmers. They have the crop cleanser. That's right. It's hair and body wash. They have the crop Reviver. This is a spray-on body toner. It's designed especially for highly sensitive and high friction areas of the body. They also have the Crop Preserver. That's a ball deodorant, Meanie. Why wouldn't you put deodorant under your armpits? Why wouldn't you put deodorant on the smelliest part of your body?
I mean, who wants onion balls? I mean, you're working. You go to work. You go to the gym. All that stuff. Take a shower. Take care of the boys.
I couldn't agree more. So now, let's not forget, though, there's one more really important thing that I was very excited about last time. And it's not the 7,000 RPM motor with the quiet stroke technology. No, it's the charging stand, the USB-powered charging stand. And you can get that along with the Lawnmower 3.0 and all of this if you go to manscaped.com. But wait, there's more. While you're there to trim that junk of yours, you can get 20% off plus free shipping with the promo code Meanie at manscaped.com. Your balls and Mind of the Meanie will thank you.
And just go over there and save, because, speaking of the USB charger, I mean, there's one time when you don't want the power to die, and that's when you got technology chomping away down there. So use that USB charging device. Keep it nice and powered. Keep it nice and clean. And it
lasts for 90 minutes, Meanie. It lasts for 90 minutes, which is why you have two of them we've already talked about in the past to make sure you have enough time to get around. But
it's like passing the baton at Olympics. The one dies down there, but you reach over and grab the other one. It's like passing the baton down there. But yeah, man, go over there to Manscaped. Use the promo code and let them know that you found out about them from Mind of the Meanie. That way we can continue to bring them back as a sponsor, because It helps keep the quality of show up, and it helps to keep the quality of your family jewels.
Yeah, and remember when we said that if you bought a T-shirt from us, that we'd love you to send us pictures of you wearing the T-shirt? Don't do that if you're kind enough to go to manscaped.com. We will just take your word for it. And we'll thank you, but please don't send pictures. But one more time, get 20% off and free shipping with the code Meanie at checkout. That's at manscaped.com. It's 20% off free shipping at manscaped.com. Promo code Meanie. What were we talking about? Feet?
Feet? Well, if there's one thing I don't want to see is feet. I don't want to see your balls either. So,
hey, I got a question for you. You ever have a match with somebody who doesn't wear any shoes? And have you ever had to like take a kick to the face or anything like that?
Yes.
He stuck his tongue out. He loved it.
Oh, Mrs. Meanie Breakable. No, I think I have, and they've done the gimmick where you're laying on the ground and they put the foot on the throat, and you're just like, yeah. Look at that sell job on Meanie. You know, he's selling that joke so well. I'm just like, God, get me out of here. But oh yeah, that's happened at least once or twice, and seriously, I hate feet, but.
So you can send your photos of your feet to at Blue Meanie BWO.
Attention, Josh, because I don't want to see him. I think we got off the highway. We're talking about Dark Side of the Ring and the convention.
Yeah, I think that was about 45 minutes ago. Yeah
45
we were talking about that.
This is where MapQuest sends us through the roughest part of the neighborhood, just to the place we were originally going. And
man,
we could have just saved 45 minutes off this fucking trip. But,
but hey, you know what? Had we done that, we wouldn't have been able to go through the weeds and clean up the weeds with Manscaped.
Yeah. And I'm sure Herb Abrams could have used some manscaping, because this is like the early 90s with they said he was always naked and with his cowboy boots on and snorting.
He struck me as a man that was full chested when it comes to hair, and I can't imagine he was trimming anything else. Not that I want to.
And you asked if I had met him. No, I never met Herb. I mean, he was at that convention I went to, and I remember the buzz around the UWF, because when I saw myself on the TV, I took a photo. Like I said, I took a photo of the screen, circled myself, and then I just happenstance, my Markism book from when I was a kid was right next to me. I took a photo of me from the convention with Rockin' Robin, and I'm holding the WWF women's title, but I was also holding the UWF women's title, which is kind of cool because it kind of fits in with the whole theme of the UWF. But the UWF was an interesting promotion. I liked it, but I hated it at the same time, because my favorite promotion growing up, my ECW as a fan, was Bill Watts' UWF. And to me, those three letters carried a lot of weight, because UWF to me was ahead of its time. They used the great music like ECW did, and anytime the show went off the air, you're always clamoring for more. You're like, oh my God, and like most ECW fans, in the Northeast, you had to really search to find the UWF. And growing up in Atlantic City, we had to before cable was there, but we still had antenna TV, and then we had UHF TV, which was like AM versus FM. If you're going to talk about like radio and stuff like that, when TV, you had the regular TV, but then you had UHF channels. And I found Bill Watts' UWF on that old UHF channel, which 23 hours of the day, it was weather for New Jersey. But for whatever reason, 1 hour a week, they would put on Bill Watts' UWF. And then eventually, Bill Watts' UWF went from this UHF channel to Channel 57 in Philly, which is UPN now, or whatever it is now. But then Herb Abrams comes along with his version of the UWF, and you're like, I don't know if I want
the same.
It's like when I get mad at Britney Spears because she did a movie called Crossroads, and I was a huge fan of the Ralph Macchio movie called Crossroads, where he's looking for this blues player and all this stuff. But long story short, I'm getting off the side. Here's another 45-minute.
No, I think I can finish this one for you. Long story short, you were sitting there, popcorn in hand, in the theater, and Britney Spears' Crossroads comes on, and it just didn't do it for you.
Or just the old channel guide. You're like, Crossroads is on the 8, and you put it on. It's the fucking Britney Spears version. You're like, what?
Disappointing.
I wanted Ralph Macchio, damn it.
Hey, have you ever seen? Just while you're off on a tangent, I'll go on my own tangent, and you ever see? You're talking UHF. You ever see the movie UHF?
Oh, it's one of my favorite movies of all time.
Love it. Love that movie.
I me being I consider myself the Weird Al pro wrestling with the parodies. That was there's so many quotable things. Like if you're going to watch UHF, my favorite part of that movie is Conan the Librarian, and there's a scene, like if people don't know, Weird Al did a movie called UHF. And the movie is just like his songs. There's a parody, a riff off of everything. Not rip off, a riff. But
I remember the supplies and the Badgers.
Oh, Spatula City.
There are so many things.
But dude, he did a thing, Conan the Librarian, and the one guy comes up to the camera and goes, "It looks like these are a couple days late." And then Conan the Librarian goes, "Rah!" and slices the guy in half. Yep. When I first saw that, I laughed so hard I saw nothing but white. Did you ever laugh so hard that you whited out and just like almost passed out to your laughing where there's no sound coming out? And dude, that's UHF was that movie doesn't get enough love. That's like in one of my top movies. Yeah, that's
a great one. Michael Richards was in it.
Yeah,
young Michael Richards.
Who wants to drink from the fire hose? And
that's a great one.
He cherry pies the kid with the fire hose. It's like the cherry pie video. He hits him with the fire hose. But dude, it's such a great movie. Fran Drescher was in it.
Yeah,
Before the Nanny, she was in that.
But where were we before? What were we
Herb Abrams is cocaine and cowboy boots. I went up there. I went to the convention, and then the UWF. Those are sacred letters to me because of Bill Watts' UWF. And he started doing TV shows from the Pennsylvania Hotel right there in Manhattan. And he brought in names, and it's like we talk about UWF, but we've kind of seen this song and dance before where a guy with a little bit of money will come in and want to be a wrestling promoter.
Yeah.
And Herb could have had a chance, I guess, because he had the money, but he just wanted to be around the boys and kind of be a mark about it. He was more into the lifestyle than the business, and he wanted to take it to Vince. And they said in the documentary, he had a meeting with Vince.
Yeah.
Where he wanted to promote the West Coast, and Vince kind of blew him off. And here's a weird correlation. Herb Abrams wanted to work with WWE, and Vince blew him off. So he said, "F you, I'm going to start my own promotion." With ECW, there's this porn producer named Rob Black, who was friends with Bubba Ray Dudley, and he wanted to come and be a part of ECW. He would come to ECW shows. He would bring some of the girls and all this stuff. And he approached Paulie about being a part of ECW. And Paulie went and tested Rob Black and said, "Yeah, well, I think we got a spot for you on the ring crew just to see how he would react." And Rob Black got so mad at that, he went and started XPW.
Oh, wow.
So he was like this millionaire porn producer from the West Coast who wanted to be a part of the wrestling business, approached the owner of a company. The owner kind of blew him off.
Mm-hmm.
So UWF was started off because Vince blew off Herb Abrams. XPW in California was born out of, Paul Heyman blowing off Rob Black.
Yeah.
And that, they copied ECW, everything from booking the talent to they had a guy sitting in the front row wearing a Hawaiian shirt and And the Hawaiian,
Was it the actual hat guy or no?
No,
they had their own hat guy.
they paid a guy $50 to sit in the front row wearing a Hawaiian shirt and a Hawaiian hat, just like our hat guy.
Wow.
In the first couple tapings at least, but eventually XPW found their niche and stuff like that. After ECW went out of business and stuff like that. So I'm not hating on XPW, but
I remember seeing their. I used to go to the mall. They had like all the. I'm trying to think what store it would have been. It's not there
probably
anymore.
Like a Sam Goody or something like that.
It wasn't Sam Goody, but it was, or maybe it was
like
Suncoast. Suncoast. It would have been Suncoast. Yep, it was
yeah.
Suncoast. And they had all the. I used to like look through, and that's kind of like how I was like following what some people post ECW were up to. Shane Douglas was in it, right?
Yeah, they redid the whole triple threat there. They had the Gangsters, they had Cronus, they had Axel.
And the problem with that was it was unoriginal. You're taking these people, but you're not doing a new spin on it. And I think that's something when ECW went out of business, everybody was trying to be the next ECW. And I think.
And speaking of money guys who wanted to get into ECW, there's a guy, I can't think of his name, but he was running shows in Indiana, and he went and started a promotion there. They had maybe 2 or 3 shows. It was called Main Event Championship Wrestling. So it was MECW, stuff like that. So, I mean, there's definitely times where, people have wanted to get into the business with money and start bouncing checks and stuff like that.
Yeah. Which, I mean, like a lot of people thought that was, a lot of people were nervous that was what was going to happen with AEW. They thought that, here comes Tony Khan, who's just the biggest wrestling fan I've ever seen. I mean, that dude's an encyclopedia of wrestling. And people were like, oh, is this a guy who's just, a money mark or whatever? And to me, he's proven to not be that at all. And a guy who has a very clear and unique vision of what it is he wants to do, which is nice. But that was a lot in the beginning was, oh yeah, here comes this rich guy. He's going to come in. He's going to get some of the talent that isn't in WWE anymore and all that. And that was a lot of, and I think things like the Herb Abrams story, that's where a lot of people kind of had that, like, all right, here we go again. Another guy's going to do this. And it's really nice to see that was not the case at all with Tony Khan.
And in relation with Tony Khan, the cool thing is, like back in the early days of social media, before there was a Twitter and Facebook and all that stuff, there was like the AOL message boards and AOL chat rooms. And I found myself, like, at one point I was in this, like, there was like these secret chat rooms, kind of like how there's like secret text groups or secret DM groups and all this stuff. But it was me, my boy Jeremiah, who, like I promoted before, he's got that really good Instagram page called Too Fast for Blood, where he's got like a whole bunch of cool ECW photos. There's my boy Del James, who works for Guns N' Roses, and Tony Khan was in the room, a young teenage Tony Khan, and we're all in the same chat rooms, and like in mid to late 90s, trading tapes and all this stuff. So when it came, out that like Tony Khan was going to run this promotion, I was like, is that the same Tony? Is that Tony from the chat? It's Tony from the chat room right over here. But the thing with Tony is, I mean, he knows his shit. And,
does he ever? That guy, he really knows. Like, he makes me feel like I just watched wrestling yesterday for the first time. Like, that's how well he knows stuff.
The cool thing about Tony is the other day, somebody was talking about Sabu versus Jericho, and they said the date, and he jumped right in. It's like, no, it was this date, this time, or this show.
I saw that.
He was at the when we did BWO Kiss at the DCW Arena. He was there both nights. He was there the night at Lulu Temple, and he was there the night at DCW Arena. And if you watch when me, Stevie, Nova, and Donnie Allen come out with JT Smith, shout out to JT, I love him. There's a young Tony Khan in the crowd wearing a Taz shirt, holding up a sign saying, I forget what the sign said, but we had a little back and forth on Twitter saying, I was like, I bet Tony Khan remembers this, and he's like, I do, and he's like, Tony was like, my father was so. His dad was a total sweetheart about taking him to the ECW arena, because I guess his dad wanted him to do well on some schoolwork, and he said, "Okay, I'm going to do good on the schoolwork, but hey, if you want me to do good, you got to take me to an ECW show, something like that." And his father flew him out to Philly and took him to the Lulu Temple and saw Jericho versus Sabu, and then the next night he was at the ECW arena. And when we did BWO as Kiss, so all these years later, he's a really good businessman. Mm-hmm. So it's not this guy. It's not like a guy who doesn't know. He knows everything about wrestling, but he also knows everything about business. Yeah. I mean, they own an NFL team, for goodness sakes, where they do half the shows and they do some shows in Florida. They do some shows in. I'm saying shows like it's for wrestling. They do NFL games in Jacksonville, and then they do NFL games in London. A couple times a year. They're technically the home team.
Well,
of London.
I forget who it is, but they have whatever team it is they own over there. I forget what it is.
Yeah, when it comes to soccer, don't quote me. Don't fact check me on the soccer.
Either of us on that. But no, it's and that's really the thing. Like, once people found out who he really was, that he wasn't just like, this rich kid who's gonna open up a wrestling thing. Like, I think people started to realize, like, okay, this dude's legit, and that seems to be the thing that we've heard continuously from anyone from a Jericho or Jim Ross, or like any of these people who signed these long-term contracts. It was like, man, sat down, and in the first 5 minutes, they were just like, all right, this is the team I want to be on, because of how big of a fan, but how good of a businessman he is. So now that we've all kissed up to Tony Khan for a while here.
No, he's
and I love Tony. Tony's one of the.
He's not a slouch. He's a good dude.
Yeah,
good businessman, and he's given what the wrestling business needs. Mm-hmm. It needs an alternative, because the more places to wrestle, the better. And from all reports, I think we started talking about this because of Conrad, but Conrad was there at the announcement for AEW, and he did the Starcast in hand in hand, in coordination with AEW's first shows and stuff like that. And those AEW's kind of got that ECW vibe. There was that one guy who hosted the 2-hour live premiere on FITE TV before AEW Dynamite's first show. That guy was, I think he really set the tone for what AEW would become. Just a lot of people feel that way. That's what I've read. That guy. Word around the coffee machine. My coffee machine in my house, and it's just me saying that. But it's okay. Yeah. Hey, I feel like we could go back to the Herb Abrams story a few more times, or we could shift side of the ring. We could shift gears though. Yes. If you have some time for a little AMA, a little Ask Meanie Anything. It seems about right. Why don't we do that? It's getting to be that time. What's the time? It's time to ask Meanie anything. It's the that's our new. That's the worst Beastie Boys song ever. What's the time? It's time to ask Meanie anything. Now, if somebody could just take that, audio tune it, and throw it over some music, that'd be. I think we're gonna see if we can do that. It's time to ask Meanie anything. So yes. This comes from VCR Wrestling at VCR Wrestling. Will you ever write a book about your life/career? Hashtag Ask Meanie. I thank you, VCR, for asking that. I'm kind of a book has been something I've been wanting to do, but just like this podcast, I want it to be done a certain way. I'm trying to do a little bit. I want it to be in my voice, so where like just how you hear me on this podcast, where I'm talking, I'll go on the sidebar, get back to the story, dip out, come back in. I kind of want to do it like that. a little spoiler alert, over the years, I've been writing stories down. Kind of just like, like that's the thing about writing a book. I don't know if I should do it chronologically or just write stories to write stories.
Can I run in for a second? Blue Meanie, I think that when you write a book, I think you should write it in a way that people can take it into the bathroom and sit on the toilet and just pick it up at any page, and there's a story.
And that is a great idea from Mrs. Meanie.
Right?
We need, like, when Mrs. Meanie...
You don't have to read the chapters in order. You could just go, which one's the shortest one? I could probably knock one out of the park while I read this Blue Meanie story.
Yeah. Oh, we got sound effects.
Yeah, man.
Well from Mrs. Meanie.
I got to give a shout out to Mrs. Meanie because our toilet doesn't have the best water pressure.
Man.
So I'll do my business. And, after a man does his business in the bathroom, he doesn't think right. I'm sure I make sure I do a blot test to make sure I'm clean and all that stuff. And I hit I think I hit the toilet plunger and the flush, and I'll leave for the day or whatever, and I'll get a text from Mrs. Meanie, or like if I'm sitting down here and do you want to do an audio sample of what you'll yell on?
Well, I don't have to make dinner tonight because you left me this fucking meatloaf in the toilet.
So Mrs. Meanie will yell down that, thanks for the meatloaf. Or thanks for the Jimmy Dean's sausage link she left in. Was it Jimmy Dean's or was it?
Jimmy Dean, you idiot.
Oh, Jimmy Dean. But yeah.
So the long story short is that you should be able to read your book in the bathroom.
Read my book in the bathroom. I think we should have, like, Mrs. Meanie should have her own, like, theme for when she runs in, like maybe the Ultimate Warrior theme or something. I don't know. She's a warrior, Mark. Sort of. But back to the book.
Yes.
I've written stories. It's just a matter. I want it to be in my voice. I've sent samples to people, and they've come back with great critiques and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But when you read it, it's like they make their corrections or whatever, and they go, "I'll do it this way." I'm like, I wouldn't say that. I don't.
Right.
I want it to sound like this podcast where I'll be talking about something and I'll throw in a little side jab to something, like a Dennis Millerism where, it's kind of like this, or blah, 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 But, back to VCR wrestling. I'm working on a book, and I've got a decent amount of stories written. Maybe I'll pass them along. I'll throw them over to you, see what you think.
Yeah.
But I've done a lot of cool things in business, in the wrestling business, and in life. And Wade Keller, I did an interview with Wade Keller once, and he called me the Forrest Gump of wrestling because I've been there for like so many unique things, some bad things, some good things. Mm-hmm. I've seen a lot of shit, especially with the Dark Side of the Ring, where they're talking about this fan convention. There I show up like Forrest Gump. The only thing
walking in the background there.
Yeah, the only thing missing was a Dr. Pepper in my hands and stuff like that. But yeah, there's a book definitely in the works. I've talked to people. I've written chapters, and it's just a matter of putting it out in my own voice. So there's somebody I'm definitely talking to. And then like Al Snow reached out to me saying that somebody wanted to reach out to me about doing a book, somebody who did his book.
I was gonna say Al has a book
called Self-Help. Please get it. Don't get Self-Help, but get the book called Self-Help.
Hey, get Self-Help too, man. We're all locked down here.
If you need it,
it's yeah. And
but,
if you need some self-help on the below the waist grooming, go to manscaped.com and use the promo code Meanie.
Yes, get Self-Help there as well. But a book's definitely in the works. And also, I don't want to write a book and then something else happened and be like, oh man, I could have saved that for the book.
Right.
But
that's when you do a second.
But
look at Foley and Jericho.
Well, I love that's how I wanted to model this podcast kind of after Joe Rogan's podcast, where it's just two guys talking. If you read Mick Foley's books, they're in his voice, and he literally wrote them by hand. I want a book kind of like that, where it's anybody could pick it up and be entertained by it. That's what I want. That's why I went with this podcast. You don't have to be a wrestling fan to listen to this. You just got to be a fan of conversation and
fart jokes.
Yeah. A lot of dick and fart jokes and stuff like that. So thank you to VCR Wrestling for that question. It's on the way. It's on the way.
Our final question, our second and final question for this week,
because I don't know where this question is going to take me. I don't know where the answer is going to lead. So
this is actually a really good one. Jack's son Pollock at Jack Esteem writes, "What is your fondest memory of Balls Mahoney?"
Man, there's so much there. There's so much to Balls. Manscaped,
which is what Balls said to you when he saw you in the locker room. Wow, there's just so much there, Meanie.
Dude, talk about a lovable guy. He was our mascot. He was the ECW mascot. He lived ECW, he bled ECW, he did everything ECW, and that's why. Okay, back to Barbed Wire City. Go on the High Spots Network and watch Barbed Wire City, because Balls Mahoney's featured in that, and it's there's a lot of lovable parts. There's some heartbreaking parts in that, when it relates to Balls, especially Balls and Axel too. Balls gave his everything to the, Mahoney gave everything to this business, and this podcast is about useless knowledge. Here's some Balls Mahoney useless knowledge. And speaking of Raven, whose shirt I'm wearing today, Raven gave him the name Balls Mahoney, and the Mahoney part was inspiration from Police Academy. Where the squad leader would go, Mahoney. We're standing around the ECW arena, and we're trying to think of a character, because Balls was in Smoky Mountain as Boo Bradley. He was Chris and Tammy's dog friend or whatever, in Smoky Mountain. But he came to ECW, and we're like, let's give him a fresh start here with Balls Mahoney. Well, let's give him a fresh start. And speaking of Police Academy, his character is going to kind of be like the gay biker dude in Police Academy.
Really?
So if you watch Balls Mahoney's first match, he'll do things and he'll kind of throw like a little hissy fit, where Balls Mahoney was originally supposed to be a gay biker dude.
Wow.
Balls for Balls, and Mahoney, from Police Academy, and that was all like inspired by Raven, who came up to Blue Meanie. He brought in Beulah, he brought in Francine. Francine was kind of already there. He came up to Dudley's gimmick.
Yeah, Raven is definitely an unsung hero of creative in wrestling.
Raven almost brought Trish Stratus in the ECW, and Paulie passed on her, apparently, from what I heard. But again, don't fact check me. I told another story on Raven, and somebody tried to fact check me on it, which I'm no selling right now. So let's leave it at that. But back to Balls Mahoney, dude, I loved. His real name was John Reckner, and dude, he was a lovable guy. I was just thinking about him the other day, because I was wrestling before I was the Blue Meanie. I wrestled in Detroit, and I flew back to Philly. I landed back in Philly on the Monday, and I took a road trip with a couple of friends down to Delaware. I just went to a Monday Night Raw and sat in the crowd and just watched. And that was when Balls Mahoney came out as Santa Claus.
Yeah.
With the $1 Million Man. So I was in the crowd. And I think that night they did like a halftime show where all the wrestlers wrestled wearing football jerseys or something like that. And they had like AstroTurf.
I vaguely remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a Superstar Bowl or something, or
yeah, something like that.
I may have just made that up myself.
No,
right there, but
I think you were right. I don't know why they were wearing football out. It's something like this. Please fact check me, bro, on that one. But and I got to see, I met John in Smoky Mountain when I did that one trip down. I met him. I saw him wrestle as Santa Claus, and then I got to share a locker room with him in Maryland for Maryland Championship Wrestling. No. It's MEWF for Baltimore, and then eventually became MCW. But he was always cool. I mean, there was no ego about him. Just a lovable guy, just a guy you just wanted to be around. And then the ECW, I did a lot of road trips with him where it's just me, him. We were driving from Philly to Pittsburgh to do shows, and he's blasting, Danzig music or any kind of metal and stuff like that. And I think I've seen every incarnation of Mahoney, whether he, just was out of his mind, in love with a gimmick or idea, or he would give his all. And here's fucking, we were at the ECW arena, and I don't know if you ever saw the match where Bam Bam Bigelow throws Spike Dudley into the crowd, and I
feel like that happened more than
once. The OG version. Bam Bam Bigelow throws Spike into the crowd, and they body surf from around the arena.
Yes. Okay, definitely seen that.
They tried to redo that, and I forget how it happened, but I want to say I was at ringside for this, but they tried to redo it here's what happened. They tried to recreate the body surf with Mikey Whipwreck, where Bam Bam Bigelow throws Mikey in the crowd.
Okay.
And trying to redo that whole body surf. Well, some asshole in the crowd took a swing at Mikey. And the first person out the curtain was Balls Mahoney.
Oh, man.
And we just the whole locker room cleared and just went out there to no matter what happened in the locker room, which ECW was a good family. There wasn't really much infight. There wasn't infighting. There might be a couple times where somebody was in a mood and
any family,
any job. But when it came to somebody messing with one of us, the locker room was always there to protect that wrestler, and Balls Mahoney was usually the first guy leading the charge with the flag, swoop with the Eagles coming out of the tunnel to lead the team and to lead the charge with the rest of the fight. Balls Mahoney was such a lovable guy, and when he passed away, me and Mrs. if there's anything that happens, good or bad or newsworthy, me and Mrs. Meanie will go to McCusker's, which is shut down because of the apocalypse. But we went to McCusker's that night, and we're just sitting there. We're like, and we had to say it out loud. We're like, man, Balls Mahoney's dead. It just didn't seem real. It didn't seem real. It didn't seem right. I was fortunate enough to get to not only wrestle him, but tag with him. When they did the Extreme Rising shows, we teamed as the tag team Blue Balls. We were speaking of Manscaped. It was Blue Meanie, Balls Mahoney as Blue Balls. Perfect. And you see that. And do you ever think of a good idea or a good comeback or a good idea, but it always happened way too late for you to make any sense of it? One time, me, Balls Mahoney, and Supernova did a 6-man against the FBI in Altoona, PA at the Jaffa Mosque. And I still kick myself to this day that I didn't have the ring announcer call us Super Blue Balls.
Yeah, that would have been
Supernova, Blue Meanie, Balls Mahoney. So when the time came about, it's Extreme Reviews, and that's why I pitched the tag team of Blue Balls. So many a fond memory of Balls Mahoney. Not enough time on any podcast to go into all the stories, because we're getting a little long in the tooth here. We're about to wrap this up. Yeah. But Balls Mahoney, go on YouTube and look up Larry Sharp versus, I want to say, Tony Onoki or something like that. And Michael Cole and Mick Foley told the story about how Balls Mahoney would tell us people he killed a great white shark with a spork. And Danny Doring, we'll get into this next week. Maybe I'll get Danny Doring to give me the particulars, but Danny Doring reenacted it as his alter ego Sugar Mask of Balls Mahoney killing a great white shark. Kayfabe, brother. Where he reenacted Balls Mahoney killing a shark with a spork in a swimming pool in a video.
Wow.
But yeah, there's so many Balls Mahoney stories and not enough time. But
I feel like this is definitely not going to be the last time we talk about Balls Mahoney on this show.
Oh, there's going to be plenty of episodes because there's so many good stories, so many great memories. Such a lovable guy, and I still see his wife and his son. His son's a spitting image of him, Christopher, and he's growing and he's getting bigger and he's looking more like John each and every day. So, yeah, and when Balls Mahoney passed, Mrs. Meanie did a Photoshop of a spork, like a black spork with angel wings on it, and all these CW's guys did that. Hold on,
it was the Prince logo because Prince had passed away around the same time.
Yeah.
So I put the spork in the Prince logo.
She did the spork in the Prince logo, and all the ECW guys made that our profile photos on. The
three, it was Prince, Balls Mahoney, and China all passed away like within days of each other.
Yeah,
and that's why Mrs. Meanie around. She's a good part of my memory.
Yeah.
I gotta go to the post office.
Mrs. Meanie's doing a run out. Yeah,
well,
run out.
If Mrs. Meanie is running out, then I guess maybe that's time for us to run out as well. Another wonderful episode of Mind of the Meanie. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in and listening. Meanie, any last words for episode 7 of Mind of the Meanie for the Pod Squad?
There's so many things, so many notes I made that we even touch because we just had such a great conversation. Again, shout out to Joey Campbell. Go to guitargaragetv.com. Go follow him on Twitter at Guitar Garage TV. We both agree Dark Side of the Ring was excellent this week.
Every week, to be honest.
Seriously. I see people do their critiques saying, oh, well, they didn't cover this, cover that. Well, the guys from Dark Side of the Ring only have 45 minutes to an hour to tell this story. You know, they tell us the pertinent facts. There's a lot of, if they had like an hour and a half, I'm sure there's a lot more stuff that they can actually put into the episode. Yeah. And also, we're talking about our love for Conrad every day after, and that's the thing we were going to say where we plug other podcasts. If you're comfortable with what you do, then you shouldn't fear people listen to other podcasts.
You're not going to get what you get on Conrad's podcast. You're not going to get here, and you're not going to get what you get here on Conrad's podcast. They're different things. They're, and I happen to, maybe I'm a little biased, but I happen to enjoy both.
Yeah, and to the point where I'm going to put over another podcast every day after Conrad's every day after Dark Side of the Ring airs on Vice. Conrad sits down with the producers from Dark Side of the Ring, Jason and Evan, and they talk about the episode, the making of the episode, and some of the things they might have missed out on. So go and look up Dark Side of the Podcast. That's what it's called. And listen to them talk. If you think they didn't talk about it, sometimes they tell why they had to make cuts and stuff like that. So shout out to Conrad. Shout out to Dark Side of the Ring. Shout out to Joey Campbell. And, so much good stuff. Shout out to you for helping me get this shit together. Are keeping me on track, keep me on course.
Hey, man, shout out to you for bringing me along for the ride. I'm having a blast here. And, hey, everybody can...
Shout out to Chef Mike, who on Twitter, who does his weekly recap of what he learned on Mind of the Meanie, which I love. Because,
very cool. I always enjoy seeing that. Honestly, it makes me remember what we talked about the week before. So
absolutely, I love the fan feedback. A lot of people loving the Mrs. Meanie run in or the Mrs. Meanie minute, whatever you want to call it.
We've had people sending in suggestions for shirt ideas and things like that. That we have more shirts coming. We love it. Just fan interaction. That's what this is all about.
Without the fan interaction, fan feedback, it's just two guys talking to hear themselves talk where, I could just stick my head out the window and yell and probably hit a couple people. Without the fans listening, we got nothing. So, and thank you for everybody who subscribed to our YouTube page. We're trying to get, we're up to 160 or something like that.
Something like that, yeah. So,
but please help spread the word, share our YouTube page, because if we get up to 500 subscribers on YouTube, we'll do some special programming just for YouTube, and then we'll bring in some visitors, into our living room and share some more stories and do some visual content and stuff like that. But we want to do something special, if kind of give us like an incentive to reach 500 on YouTube. So get us some subscribers on YouTube, and we'll give you some extra content as well.
And while we're talking social media, make sure to follow us on social media at Mind of the Meanie. And while you're at it, follow us as individuals as well. Meanie can be found on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook at Blue Meanie BWO. And I'm at Says Shernoff on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook as well. Don't forget to visit mindofthemeanie.com for all our great new shirts. And of course, prowrestlingtees.com/Blue Meanie and collarandelbowbrand.com, promo code Meanie. Again, our sponsors. We really appreciate SOSCustomNetwork.com and Manscaped. Both of those promo code Meanie. And Meanie, I think that about does it for us here on Mind of the Meanie. For the Blue Meanie, I'm Josh Shernoff. Join us again next Monday for another trip into the mind of the Meanie.